The game's to be sold, not told. So we finna keep everybody broke. They say time is money. They say money talk. I ain't got no time to waste if you ain't got no time. Out and about, out chasing paper. The streets of my house and the house always wins like Vegas. Never down for the count. Second win, second nature. Found mine. Never had my hands out. Fuck favors. By design, everything tailored. In my youth, it was shell toes, no Chuck Taylors. We choke game, had a game, so it's still the same code game, so it's still the same code. We all pay the cost, pay dues. Move with the mind state that I can't lose. On the grind, push a hard line with my linemen. Back when I was young, they said it's all about timing. Feel it's my time, all the stars are aligning. I'm a diamond in the rough, couple cuts got me shining. This game you cannot cop on consignment. In the field, all we do is execute assignments. The game's to be sold, not told. So we finna keep everybody broke. They say time is money, they say money talk. I ain't got no time to waste if you ain't got no time to talk. The game's to be sold, not told. So we finna keep everybody broke. They say time is money, they say money talk. I ain't got no time to waste if you ain't got no time to talk.
First, we get into this paper. See, I want it all, plus some UNDERDOG, cause a lot of alcohol, few dad bags of paper. Run this shit like a ship and I'm the sailor. Cold, kinda like it's fresh up out the freezer. Cold, if she ain't talking bread, I don't need her. Soon as I meet her, I'm a fucker, then I leave her. It's the old Mac knees, treat them all like bottom feeders. Break it down slow for them folks that don't know. I'm a seasoned vet, black belt out the dojo. With a wide range of weapons, so I'm out the holster. Keeping all options open, so many ways that I can fold ya. Told you from the gate, never been about no play. Get it on the go, they never been known for no delay. The game should be sold, not to be told. Keep your mouth shut, don't have to break the mold. Mac knees.
Break the work down, it's fence the move. Push that work out, I distribute. Break the work down, it's fence the move. Push that work out, I just distribute. A young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out the foreign or I'm hopping out the Uber. Crew clocking chips opposite of you losers. Can't be broke as a joker, got no sense of humor. Just a young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out the foreign or I'm hopping out the Uber. Crew clocking chips opposite of you losers. Can't be broke as a joker, got no sense of humor.
I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. You know I'm the boy, get money's what I'm used to.
Keep you straight from the gate, so I don't confuse ya. I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. I'ma make noise, shout to my producer. I'm an entertainer, but I ain't here to amuse ya. Yeah, fuck with shooters and they all fucking users. Come through and wake that ass up like a rooster, hella early in the morning. Early bird gets a worm. Finna get rich for 'em, food for the worms. Cutting cocaine, dropping whole things. It's a cold game, make you run your gold chain. Hungry, but I'm moving in a keto state. For sure, I beat the price on the keys in your state. Catch me running up a tail, fucking up a bag. Make me wonder how long will a good thing last. On my Curtis Mayfield, live a life I can't chill. Push a man, pushing packs, all I do is make squeal. Keep it 100, I'm just numb, yo, I can't feel none of these suckers when they say they real. Stacking Uber cash, I'm an out-of-state supplier. Random Uber man, here to get away drive. Just a young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out the foreign or I'm hopping out the Uber. Crew clocking chips opposite of you losers. Can't be broke as a joker, got no sense of humor. Just a young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out.
What is up, everybody? Let's get to the chat out there already. Marty, Daniel Charter, what is good, y'all? What is good? Hammer is gonna be a couple seconds late here. He's got some technical difficulties. Hammer's always got some kind of shit going on. But what's good, guys? What is up? What is up, everybody? Week 7 in the books, so now we go into week 8. Crazy. We are like almost halfway through the season. Halfway through the fantasy season almost pretty much as already. Which is crazy. It's flying by so far. A lot of shit has been happening we didn't expect, a lot of stuff that we did expect, but there's a lot to go over, especially dynasty wise today. Um Kev, what up, Kev? Irish Massive in the building. What's good, brother? Yeah, any day now that Hammer wants to get on and we'll get started. But yeah, I mean, we'll answer questions, of course, as usual. Usually the first part we'll just kind of Q&A, go over some of the games and things that happen, and then we'll start getting into some of the rookies and some backup running backs and stuff I wanted to talk about for Dynasty. So JSN finally got to play with DK out. We got Jalen Hyatt getting some more snaps. Gibbs went off. Bijan basically didn't even play. But I was happy to see Gibbs do his thing for sure. But my Vikings, I mean, how about my Vikings? Big win. Big win last night against the Niners there. Big win for the Vikings. We have some sort of life now, Vikings fans. We have some sort of life. 3-4 now. Packers ain't doing shit. Bears ain't doing shit. Lions just lost, so we've got a chance. If we can kind of hold it down until JJ can come back, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, Purdy folded. Purdy folded under pressure. Vite Queen in the building. What up, Vite Queen? Needed Purdy to score me 17 points. Yeah, Purdy folded under pressure. He threw 2 big picks when he was feeling the heat. And this is like one of the things about Purdy we haven't really seen yet is because they're never down. They're never down in games and never have to come back. He's never really facing adversity or pressure too much because of what the guys around him can do. And Vikings put the pressure on him and were able to get him to make some bad throws, some mistakes, and we were able to capitalize and come out with this game. Even though we almost blew it in the fucking end, we missed a field goal. Of course, it's always the kicker. We can never find a kicker to be comfortable with. There's just always some shit with our kicker. Always. And it pisses me off because I'm like, damn, now Purdy's gonna get the ball again, and he's gonna get bailed out. He's gonna march down the field, and he's gonna be the damn hero. But that didn't happen. He wound up throwing the pick. So not a great last 2 games really for Purdy. But yeah, what do you guys think about the Vikings? Do we have a shot? Do we have a shot to hold this down and possibly make the playoffs? When JJ comes back. I mean, it wasn't pretty, but we did our thing. Addison looked awesome. Hawkinson looked awesome. 12 targets for Hawkinson, 11 for 86. And then you had Addison obviously just go nuts. But Ayuk 5 for 57. I mean, Kittle 5 for 78. CMC scored the 2 tutties, of course, one on the ground and one through the air. But outside of that, I mean, that's it. The Brock for 272, 2 intos with a tutty. 63.5 QB rating. Yeah, Vikes going to be that number 8 seed. Nobody wants to play. That's right. I'm feeling that, Marty. I'm feeling that. Because once we get there, like that's it. Our offense is good. And our defense has actually been holding up. I mean, our defense hasn't been bad. Our defense has not been as bad as I thought our defense was going to be. So we're holding it down right now. I mean, Hunter looks like a monster. James, what up, James? Start Foreman or Mixon this week? Oof. Let's check it out. Let's see who they're playing. So Foreman or Mixon? You've got Mixon against the Niners, and you got Foreman against the Chargers. I mean, Foreman's gonna get carries. The Bears team isn't really that good. I mean, Mixon obviously is involved more in the pass game. So, like from a PPR perspective, you might feel a little bit safer with the floor from Mixon. I think the floor of Mixon is going to be higher, but the ceiling, I mean, as well. But Foreman will get the work. And I don't know if Roshan is coming back this week also. Does that change a little bit with Foreman? Does he still get all those carries? So you might want to play it safe and just play Mixon, especially if it's full PPR, James. I might go Mixon full PPR here. Brian said 1-6 crew stand up. I'm not 1-6 in any leagues. I don't know how that feels, Brian, but that's okay, man. I'm actually 2-5 in one league, but just remember, like myself, maybe I should pick up Taysom Hill on waivers and all my troubles go away. I mean, if you got troubles at the tight end position, for sure, I'm okay with that. Let's pick up Taysom. Just get some kind of life. I mean, the last 2 weeks he's been a lot more involved. I don't know if that's going to continue. I mean, what happens when Juwan Johnson comes back? But as of right now, I mean, if you don't have one of those top tight ends, like you can play Taysom. He's got the same floor as all the other tight ends, but his upside is a lot more. All right, so it's Pigeon. Would you trade Komet and Shaheed for Kittle and Rondell Moore? 20-man PPR. Roster is Russ, JT, Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Christian Kirk, Komet, and Jacoby Myers. Komet and Shaheed for Kittle and Rondell Moore? Probably not. I mean, I'm okay with. I mean, especially if we're talking dynasty, I'm probably just gonna stay put. I don't really know if I don't want to spend on. I don't want to spend on Kittle. That'd be my only thing. I don't want to spend on Kittle, especially if it's like 20 man. I mean, I'd rather Shaheed really for the long run. But redraft. Okay, so if it's redraft, then yeah, I'm okay with it in redraft. All right, redraft. That's fine. I'll take Kittle because Komet without Fields, I don't know what Komet is doing. He didn't do jack last week, so yeah, I'd take it. I'll take Kittle for that for sure. Bogey, what up, Bogey? Crispy in the building. What's up, Crispy? Hit that like button for me, y'all. Hammer was just attempted to get on, but he's got still going through technical difficulties over here. Um, I had a whole nice little setup that I've been working on too that I thought would be cool. But I need Hammer to get on. But yeah, we'll talk about let's talk about some of the games that happen. Other than my Vikings, of course. Let me go back to week 7 real quick. But yeah, how about the Patriots beating the Bills? How about that? How about my guy Kincaid? Mac Jones winds up beating the Bills, which I don't think anybody really expected that to happen. But yeah, I mean the Bills, there's just something missing from the Bills. 4-3 now. Gabe Davis, 1 catch for 6 yards. I'm telling, go ahead, keep playing Gabe Davis. Keep playing him. Redraft full PPR, Charters head. James Cook for Geno. QB is Purdy. No. My running backs are Eckler, Brian Robinson, Pacheco, Walker Henderson, Kyron, and Achan. I don't think there's much of a need to. I mean, Purdy and Geno, I mean, it's one QB. It doesn't matter either way. I don't think I'd trade James Cook. I'd probably just keep rolling with Purdy, you know? I'll probably just keep rolling with Purdy. Trade Brees and Judy for Barkley and Gabe Davis. No. Well, Brees and Judy for Barkley and Gabe Davis. Redraft. I mean, Brees and Barkley are kind of like evenish for me. And then Judy and Gabe Davis, they're both kind of hit or miss. Judy really hasn't done jack shit. So if you want to roll with Gabe Davis, we're unfortunately gonna have to play him like every week, and you don't know which Gabe Davis you're gonna get. Are you gonna get the tutty or are you gonna get what you got this week? You know, the one catch for 6 yards, where Judy's at least gonna give you a few catches, and there's a possibility that Judy actually gets traded. So do you want to hold out on Judy and then see what happens with there and just hold Judy and Brees? Like, I'm okay with that. Like, I'll lean the Brees and Judy side unless you're a Gabe Davis guy, but yeah, I'll lean Brees. Brees has been awesome. But Diggs, I mean, Diggs only 6 for 58. He did have the tutty and he had 12 targets, so nothing to worry about there. James Cook 3 for 46, with 13 on 56 on the ground. Josh Allen 3 total touchdowns. I mean, I don't know how they wound up losing that. That was just bad. How about the Colts without Deshaun, with PJ Walker at the helm, and then Ford goes down, so Hunt scores 2 tutties. Minshew slinging it around, had a couple fumbles, but how about the Giants? Giants beating the Commanders. I mean, I'm Jonathan Allen pissed after the game. It's the same bullshit every year. It's the same shit. Uh, Unfortunate for the Commanders, but Howell ain't it, and hopefully people could just see that by now. But Howell ain't it. Howell ain't it. Giants wind up coming away with this. They might as well start Tyrod Taylor over Daniel Jones. What do you guys think? Let me know. Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor? Who should the Giants go with? Because they look way better. They look way better with Tyrod. Way better with Tyrod. Lions got their ass kicked by the Ravens. I mean, that was not even close. Awesome game from Gibbs. I mean, St. Brown, but the Ravens just beat the brakes off the Lions. After, we were kind of on the high horse of the Lions, looking great, and then just get like stomped. I mean, talking about 0 points until the fourth quarter. It was just bad. Zay 4 for 75 with the 6 targets. Yeah, Tyrod, right? I mean, Tyrod looks like he just controls the offense. He's not turning the ball over. He's not trying to do too much. He's just kind of letting guys do their thing. Hammer said his computer is still fucking up. This guy. Need Hammer to get a new computer over here. Steelers, Rams. Steelers wound up taking away this one. Puka, awesome game by Puka. Deontay Johnson's first game back played well, but I mean outshined by Pickens, who had the 5 for 107. Pickens had more targets. 8 to Deontay's 6. Is that going to continue going forward? That we'll have to find out. But Pickett, I mean, no tutties. No win toes. Najee finally gets in the end zone. Jalen Warren as well. Kenny Pickett had the rushing touchdown, but Puka doing his thing. How about the Falcons? How about Desmond Ritter getting bailed out with his 3 fumbles? I mean, It was the interceptions the week before where Arthur Smith, you could just see him on the sideline, like, what the fuck is happening here? And now Ritter, 3 fumbles again. It was 19 to 25 through the air, so like it wasn't bad passing wise, really, 250 yards. But when they throw the ball, like good things happen. You see good things happen with Drake London and Kyle Pitts when you actually throw the football. So Jono Smith had a disappointing game, only 3 for 27. And then you had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rashard White. I mean, contending teams, they should have been trying to get Mike Evans. It's going to be hard to get him now, but Rashard White also had 6 catches. That was interesting. The Broncos beating the Packers. That was another interesting game. I wish Hammer was on right now so we can shit on him. But yeah, I mean, Jordan Love wasn't looking good, Jordan Love, at least in the first half. Second half, he kind of came to life, but too little, too late at that point. I mean, no wide receivers did anything. Christian Watson goes down again. So the Pack ain't looking too hot right now. If you're rebuilding, what will be your base price for Evans? What I would sell him for if I was rebuilding? You want to at least try and get it first. Can you get a late first out of somebody? I mean, Evans is really producing right now. You should be able to get a late first from somebody, or at least a second and a piece, a second and a young wide receiver. You know, who does that guy have on his bench? Are there any kind of young wide receivers maybe that you would like? Otherwise, it's got to be like at least a late first I want to get from him. But every league is a little bit different, so you know the league more than me. If you're not going to be able to get a late first, you're going to have to take, you know, the best that you can get because it's only going to go downhill from here, right? His value is not going to increase. So yeah, Marvin Mims, 1 target. He's just not getting enough. He's not getting enough burn. Javante looked really good though. 15 for 82, 5.5 a touch. We had Chiefs over Chargers. I mean, Mahomes obviously went bonkers. And Chargers, I mean, Quentin Johnson just not doing jack. Just not doing jack. Had the 1 catch. Homer 5 for 133. Eckler gets hurt again. So here we go with Eckler again with the injury. Holmes and Kelsey just went off. But yeah, Marty, are you in that position? Do you have Eckler right now? You need to rebuild? And are you just deciding to rebuild, or was this like going into the season? Did you think you had to rebuild there? The Dolphins go down to the Eagles. I mean, he just doing his thing, but it seems like when they play like tough teams, they can't really get shit going to win. Mm. But yeah, I'm hype about my Vikings. Addison, everybody's now on Addison. You're not gonna be able to trade for Addison now. It's too late. It's too late now. For real. The Falcons. Oh man, the Falcons. What do I think about the Falcons? I think Arthur Smith just hates us all. I think that he really just does not care. I mean, he just doesn't want to do what's right for his team. It feels like you've got 2 like insane weapons in Pitts and London that you spend a ton of draft capital on, and you refuse to get a quarterback number 1, letting Desmond Ritter fucking do all of his bullshit. But we need to throw the ball more. I mean, it's great that you got Bijan, but Bijan could catch the ball too. They've got to find a way to get the offense going. They're a good team. That's why they're 4-3 right now, even with Desmond Ritter at quarterback. So imagine what a better quarterback can do, where they can actually pass the ball more and have a better offense. I mean, so I do like the Falcons. They're most likely are going to make the playoffs. But is Ritter going to continue to be the QB, or are they going to wind up making a change before that? Is Heineke going to come in at some point, or do you continue with Ritter? I don't think Ritter is the future, so I don't think he's the QB next year. I'll tell you that. If he makes it through this year, he makes it through, but he ain't making it through next year. I doubt it. I doubt it. Solid core, but got a shit record. That's fine. I mean, you got a shit record. Now start moving pieces. We just did. I think we just did the show on rebuilding. So just ideas for rebuilding. Get rid of all your running backs, get rid of all your old players, except for your little core of guys. Just trade everybody for picks that you can use. They're going to increase in value as the season goes on, into you get into the off season, and then you can start buying players from there. People are going to want the picks. The fans want Heineke. Yeah, the fans want Heineke. I want Heineke. We all want Heineke, I think. Not that Heineke is like all that great, but he could sling it. And I feel a lot more comfortable with him throwing the football. For sure, than I do Ritter. Easily. Easily. Facebook user, what's up? Start Waddle or Keenan Allen, PPR. Probably gonna start Keenan Allen. Let me see what the games are. Yeah, against the Bears, you've got Keenan Allen, and then you've got Waddle against the Patriots. I mean, Waddle's been at least picking it up a little bit, but I'm still gonna go with Keenan Allen. I mean, the upside there and what Keenan Allen can do with the targets that he can get. Give me Keenan. I think Derrick Henry gonna get traded. I think that they tried to trade him. I've heard that they tried to trade him, but there wasn't a crazy ton of interest. And the one problem with it is that obviously they got to take on his contract, but they've got to, give up. They probably don't want to give up what the Titans want in return. And so the Titans are kind of in a position where they might just have to take, 50 cents on the dollar to get rid of Henry, because nobody wants to pay up. So I think there is a good possibility maybe that he could get traded, but there's also a good possibility he kind of just stays put and nobody really wants to spend. I mean, we see more and more now these teams are going away from the one running back or the workhorse running back, and they don't have to pay these guys either. So I don't know. It's gonna be tough. There are definitely some teams that really could use him. So we'll see what happens. But Jay, what up, Jay? What's goody, Jay? Smash that like button for me, guys. Absolutely appreciate you. Would you trade Gibbs, Higgins, and Love for Bijan and Godwin? I have Monty too for when healthy. Would you trade Gibbs, Higgins, and Love for Bijan and Godwin? Is this Dynasty or is this redraft, Stanley? Let me know, please. Gibbs, Higgins, and Love for Bijan. And this one QB or is this super flex? Because if it's one QB, then Love doesn't really even matter. I'll take Bijan over Gibbs for right now. Give me Bijan and Godwin. 14-man super flex. Okay. Traded away Chase. Traded away Chase for DK, ETN, 324 first, and a 24 second, and a 25 second. Traded away Chase for DK, ETN, 324 first, 24 second, and 25 seconds. Okay, so you got DK and you got ETN and you got 324 first. I mean, that's a lot to get. I'm hoping that those are going to be like mid or early. I mean, I hope that this team that you're giving to is not stacked and you're getting only like 3 late round picks, because that would kind of suck. I mean, Chase is a big dog. It is 14 man, so so if you needed to like, split up Chase in order to, kind of replenish your team if you're in a rebuild or something and your team was that bad, then I get it. Then I'm okay with it. You're getting 3 firsts, you're getting ETN. I mean, you're getting 2 seconds with DK. I'll take it. I'll take it. What's up, Hammer? Hammer finally in the building.
There it is. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you.
All right.
Everybody else
In the
can hear you.
building. What up? What up?
Finally. Now I can actually fucking smoke this because I've been talking the whole time.
All right. What do you want from me, bro? Technology sucks.
No, don't give me that. All right, let me see if this works here. 'Cause I set up a little something because we need to have our smoke sets right quick. Boom! It works. We're in the middle.
Not too bad. I like it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all these rookies here on the screen. We're going to talk about backup running backs. Right now, we're just kind of Q&A smoke session it out. I got to light this up. But yeah, Hammer, I mean, we talked a little bit about some of the games that went on. Why don't you tell us about your shitty Green Bay Packers and what's going on there?
Why do we gotta just say shitty? They played shitty though. I will say that. Yeah, it was a rough game to watch, to be honest with you, because you would think against the Denver Broncos we would score more than 0 points in the first half. So that was incredibly frustrating. Crispy, I appreciate that. I'm late, but better late than never, as Drake said. But never late is better. Got it. But it was just very frustrating watching that first half. It was brutal, man, and I was just so disappointed because coming off that really disappointing game against Vegas and then heading into the bye, I was like, all right, there's some things to clean up, and I've said this on previous shows before, where there's a ton of things I've liked and there's a lot of things I haven't liked. A lot of the play calling has been very curious to me. And I know a lot of fans, especially of these teams that are like die hard. You watch every snap, you pay attention to the team, you watch for the nuanced stuff. You don't just look at the end of the game and see the statistics and go, okay, well, he played okay. No, you really have to watch the game and see how the game unfolds, the play script they're calling, the guys that they're utilizing more than maybe some other guys. So it's been a tough stretch the last 3 games. Listen, Detroit's clearly better than us, but the last 2 games against Vegas and then against Denver was really, really disappointing because that's a game I feel like we could win both of those games or should have won both of those games. And to only score, what did we score? 13 against Vegas and then 17 last week. So we scored 30 points in 2 games against teams that are not that great defensively. And obviously, we know what Denver is defensively. So really frustrating. But we had a chance at the end of that game, to be honest with you. We were leading 17-16. They came down, kicked a field goal, and then we had a chance to go and kick a field goal to win it. And I think we were at midfield or something, and with over a minute and 40 seconds left, and Jordan Love essentially just throws a Hail Mary into double coverage that gets intercepted. And in watching the replay, he had AJ Dillon in the flat. They were running basically zone coverage and giving us the yardage. So if he would have just dumped it off to AJ Dillon, like I said, with a minute 40 at midfield, all you need is 15 yards to feel good, 20 yards to feel good about a last second field goal. So really tough to watch. I don't think Jordan Love played great. I think he played okay, well enough to win. I guess that's the best way to put it. He played well enough to win. So really disappointing overall. But listen, I think we're expecting a lot just because we've had Aaron Rodgers for so long, and it's disappointing because we are in these games. So I'm going to continue to show a little bit of patience, but I would like to see more growth out of the offense. 30, like I said, 30 points in 2 games against the Raiders and the Broncos is not acceptable. And Matt LaFleur needs to get his shit together. And I'm starting to get upset the more I'm going on my soliloquy here. I'm starting to get more upset. So Matt LaFleur needs to get his shit together. Jordan Love needs to get his shit together a little bit as well. So we'll see what happens. But Christian Watson apparently got injured again, which is no surprise there. He's brittle. Mm-hmm. I don't know what Aaron Jones, I don't know what his status is. AJ Dillon out carried him basically 2-1. And that can't happen because Aaron Jones is still really good. Yeah, it's bad. It's pretty bad. So we'll see what happens. The road doesn't get any easier. I think we have Minnesota coming up.
Yep. Giants fan, what's good? Thanks for popping in.
Yeah, we got Minnesota at home. We got the Rams at home, and we have the Steelers on the road as the next 3 games. So
Rams,
you basically
Steelers,
got to
Steelers.
win 2 out of those 3.
16-team redraft. Pickens and Cook for Jamal Williams and Rashid Rice.
Yeah, I'm taking Pickens and Dalvin.
Yeah, give me Pickens for sure. Keep Pickens there. Kev said, "Do you prefer in Dynasty Metcalf or Higgins?"
That's a pretty good question.
That is a good one.
I prefer Higgins. Now I've talked about Metcalf, and I do like DK Metcalf a lot, but I just think the potential emergence of JSN next year, and maybe even the latter half of this season could impact DK's upside. And DK's been banged up, and he hasn't really lived up to expectations thus far this season. So I do like Higgins in a more prolific offense with a better quarterback. So that's the reason I'll go with Higgins here.
Yeah, and I mean Higgins could be going somewhere else next year, unless they tag him, of course,
I think they'll sign him. I do.
or if they sign him. But yeah, I have Higgins ahead of Metcalf also. I mean, not by crazy much. I mean, yeah, I mean, Lockett's been outproducing DK for the last few years now, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think really that changes once JSN like really comes to life. So and so you can kind of put them both the same. Like, okay, are they both going to be kind of the wide receiver twos almost on their team? I mean, but I think if Higgins goes somewhere else, there's potential for him to be a wide receiver 1 somewhere. So yeah, I do like Higgins a little bit better. And I think he might be like a year or 2 younger too.
It's strange because I feel like even on that Bengals team, he's the perfect complement to Jamar Chase. You know what I mean? He's that big physical guy. And Jamar Chase is the game breaker, down the field type guy. So that's really the perfect complement, to be honest with you. Now, does he want to get paid as a number 1? Does he want to get featured as a number 1? Does he want to get out of Jamar Chase's shadow? That all remains to be seen. But I think if T. Higgins, is smart about it, he'll stay in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, with Jamar Chase, and let's call this is that the Cincinnati organization has turned a corner in terms of putting a good product on the field and going out and spending in free agency and addressing needs and bringing guys in. So I think they see that they have a pretty good window here with Chase, with Burrow, obviously mixing to a lesser degree with this team kind of as it is and being able to compete for Super Bowls. So I think T. Higgins is a big part of that.
Mm. What do you think about Stafford versus the Cowboys? Go Staff or Purdy?
That's a tough one because Matthew Stafford hasn't been great. Like he's been kind of average. Even with Puka and Cup kind of racking up a ton of yards, it hasn't translated into great production for Matthew Stafford at the end of the day. I think I'd still let me see what Purdy's matchup is coming up this week.
Bengals.
Cincinnati.
Yep.
Cincinnati's been pretty good defensively. I think I'll still take Purdy at home against Cincinnati. Yeah, I'll still take Purdy here because he's still got all the weapons. I think they'll still be able to move the ball. Christian McCaffrey seems like he didn't re-aggravate any of his injuries, so he'll probably be another week healthier. Debo, I know, is out, but they still got Kittle, Ayuk, Jawan Jennings. They got some guys. So give me Purdy here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Purdy as well. Go Purdy as well. Let's go Purdy. Jay said, good with the Chase trade. No to the Gibbs Bijan trade for Jay. Marty said, what up? How about them Packers?
Nothing is up about them Packers.
Gonna go Vikes Raider Vegas game in December. You going? Okay, nice. I'm not going. No, I wish I could go. I wish.
So I am most likely going to the Packers Giants game here at MetLife in December.
Okay.
So
Nice.
that is exciting. Actually, let me see when that. I think that might be week 14 on Monday night. So most likely I'll be going to that game. I got my Jordan Love jersey ready. Hopefully he can vault me into the Dynasty, into the subscriber league playoffs that week. That would be really nice. I got a big
Nope.
win over Irish Massive, even though Bijan fucking let me down. I was so
I had a
upset.
big win too. I'm in third. I don't really even know how, to be honest.
I don't know how I'm in 10th.
But it is just working out right now. But
Must be nice.
it is nice. All right, so we'll get to some of these rookies here,
Okay.
and we'll talk about Marty had a good win too. We said, who did Marty beat? I didn't really look at everything.
Marty played. He scored like 200. Yeah, he beat
Oh shit,
RC.
214. God damn,
Yeah, he beat
beat the
RC.
shit out of Kenny Ballsack.
Too funny.
Damn, bro. What'd you have? Oh, because he had my homeboy Addison. Shit, Gibbs. Wow. Okay, that makes sense. And you got Mostert too. What the fuck?
Man, if I put up 167 and lose, I'll be very upset.
Oh shit. Yeah, that was good shit. That was good stuff, Marty. Yeah, that's a big week. I had a big week in the home dynasty league. I put up like 190 something.
Yeah, I put up like 90. I had Chase and Burrow on the bye. Devontae Adams and Austin Eckler have been trash for me since I got them. So we'll see, but I could definitely get my shit together in that league. I'm not overly concerned. Not a good week though, but I'm happy I picked up the win in the subscriber league. I mean, I have one Smith next week, who I think is 6-0,
Yeah, 7-0.
7-0. So he's just steamrolling people. So not the greatest matchup, but I feel pretty confident. Hopefully Bijan doesn't score 0.3 this week, and I should be in good shape. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen with Chris Olave getting arrested.
I mean,
That wouldn't be very good for my fantasy team.
I play for the Saints. He said, and
I mean, I would kind of say that too, to be honest with you.
I mean, yeah, but it was just funny. It's kind of fucked up how they just put it right out there like that, bro. Like, you know how long it takes to get fucking camera footage from the fucking police
The
on
police,
anything, and they had that shit within fucking hours.
of course, because it's a high-profile situation.
Fuck. Pedro said, "Are we keeping Jacobs or are we selling high on him?"
I mean, at this point, you kind of got to see what's out there, right? What do you need? If Jacobs is your RB2? I mean, or where are you at in your league? It's all situational. It all depends on, if Jacobs can help your team, you know, get a receiver if you need it, get a quarterback if you're in a super flex league, then yeah, I would say yeah, but it's all situational, right? Depending on the makeup of your team, where you're at in the standings. If you think you're going to be able to make a push to the playoffs, those are all factors to consider.
Sure. All right, so let's get into Gibbs. And before we get into that, on our channel, we are almost at 500 subs. We're at 496 right now. So we need 4 more to hit 500. That would actually enable the like super chats and stuff for us, because we have enough watch hours. So that would kind of allow us to do that and memberships and stuff like that. So appreciate everybody out there watching and everybody that's been watching. It's been fun so far. So let's see what we can do, where we can get to. First is 500, then is 1K. But appreciate Hustle as well, and the 420 network, everybody out there for letting us have this platform as well. So we stream on both channels on Tuesday nights. So we appreciate them as well. But yeah, just want to throw that out there for everybody and thank everybody.
For sure. It's definitely it's been a fun ride so far. I mean, just being on here where you guys interacting, kind of the banter that goes on here. It's really been fun. I kind of look forward to it each and every show, just seeing what you guys have to offer and, just keep pushing us to be better.
Hmm. Keeping Jacobs or selling high. I don't think I answered it yet. Um, yeah, I've been selling Jacob. I mean, he's a running back. I'm okay with selling Jacobs. I was just away from Jacobs and redraft just in general this year. And then in Dynasty, it was just a perfect sell high kind of after last year's season. So no, I don't got any Jacobs. But yeah, I'd be selling if I could for sure. Anything else that you need? Captain Spock, appreciate you, Captain. 497. Appreciate you, Captain. Said he's got the 38% indica. Okay.
Oof, feeling spicy.
He just said it's an 8-man league and he's 6-1. I mean, if you're 6-1, you might as well just hold him. I mean, obviously you're doing well, so unless you have a need somewhere, I mean,
Yeah, I would
he's
agree,
not.
and I think Jacobs, especially when Jimmy G comes back now. I don't think Jimmy G is great, but I think he stabilizes that offense. It kind of puts everybody where they need to be, gets them the ball. I think Jacobs has kind of shaken off some of that rust, obviously not being in training camp in the preseason. So I think Jacobs will be pretty good down the stretch for you, and especially in an 8-man league, you kind of want those workhorse type guys, and Jacobs definitely qualifies as one of those.
Jay, what's up, Jay? 12 team super flex. A chain or Pickens in the first, hopefully late.
Give me Pickens in the first.
Yeah, I'm taking Pickens in the first as well. You could try and punch the issue a little bit and try and ask for maybe a little something also. I mean, Achan I've seen go for like 2+ first, which is fucking kind of insane. But this is one of those where I might just kind of not be greedy about it and like don't want him to pull back. Like give me Pickens on the first for sure, and then I
Yeah.
can move Pickens if I want. Then I have the flexibility with the first. You're not holding all the value in Achan, as a running back. So I like it. I like it, Jay. Give me Pickens on the first.
And listen, even with Deontay back, I think Pickens can still be productive. Now he might not have those 100-yard games, and Pickens is kind of busting out a little bit. Like he's has to be. I don't know. I'm kind of at that point where he might be a lineup lock at this point, especially in that wide receiver 3 spot for me, which is where most people should have Pickens anyway. So Pickens is almost a lineup lock at this point at that wide receiver 3 position, even with Deontay back.
Yeah, I mean, he's like wide receiver 20 something. Yeah. Yeah, wide receiver 22-ish, 23.
That's pretty good. I feel like that's like
So,
perfect for where he's at, and he's got some
mhm.
upside, especially with the last couple of weeks. Um, he's been playing at basically a wide receiver 1 production with the 100-yard games. I know his touchdown production is not crazy, but it looks like he's kind of coming into his own.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it, Jay. Let's do it. All right, Gibbs. Let's talk about Gibbs. Finally, he has the breakout game that we've been waiting for. A lot of people were very, very down on him, especially in
Hmm.
Dynasty, and finally has that game. Obviously, Monty's going to be able to come back, but I think I spoke about this the other day. But yeah, what do you think about Gibbs and the game that he had? What do you think he can do going forward, and his Dynasty value now?
Well, we've talked about Gibbs. I remember watching him on that opening night against Kansas City, and we all got kind of excited just because we saw the flashes. He only had 9 opportunities in that game, and that's pretty much after that is when Monty kind of took off. And they've pretty much been committed to Monty as that quote unquote workhorse type back. But I think you can see what he can do, and he got 21 opportunities total, right? 10 targets and 11 rush attempts for 68 yards. And think about this: in a game that the Lions got absolutely wiped off the floor with, he had he was RB3 for the week in full PPR. So that kind of just tells you his upside, and he doesn't need a ton of touches to be crazy efficient, which is amazing. So I think as long as Monty is out, his value, he's going to be an RB1 on a per week basis. When Monty does come back, I do think Monty gets the ball, so that will obviously diminish. But his dynasty value is super high for me, even when he wasn't playing well and getting the ball, just because I think that he's so dynamic that you need to have him on your team for situations like this, right? Running backs get hurt. We talk about this week in and week out. Running backs get hurt, so you have to have that patience. And I think the Lions want to be patient with him. He only got 11 rushing attempts. I know they were down, so that probably contributes to the 10 targets in the passing game. But on that particular offense, I think the Lions are going to be fine. And on that particular offense, he's going to be dynamic. So he's definitely an RB1 type guy with Monty out. And if Monty's not there next year or whatever the case may be, he's going to be a top 5 dynasty running back.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I like him even with Monty there, because even when you, like you said, you saw this game, like he doesn't need a ton of touches. Like I keep saying, give him 10 to 12, carries a game, and you give him like 5 to 7,
Yep.
5 to 7 targets. Maybe a little bit more if they're getting blown out like they were this game. But that's kind of realistically what I see: 10 to 12 carries, 5 to 7 targets. He's getting 15 to 17, 18ish touches, and he
Mhm.
can really produce on that. And you can still have a Monty get 15 to 18 carries. Like you can still do that. It's not that can still be split up. So that's I really do like Gibbs. I think he kind of solidified that value and that what we really thought of him. Is he who we thought he was, right? And I think that kind of really showed it, because the situation just is not great. It's not ideal. I mean, I think I talked about this with someone the other day. You drop Gibbs in Miami instead of Achan, and what is Gibbs doing over there? Like you saw even this game when they were giving it to him in space where he was getting outside, that's where he was excelling, and he was great. So yeah, I'm digging Gibbs right now. But what's the market? What's the market on Gibbs? I mean, like you said, he's a top 5 dynasty running back. Are we buying into him? Or are we not? I mean, I would say this. I always say there's probably only that I'd actually spend a first on. I wouldn't
Mhm.
spend a first on a lot of running backs. There's probably 4 or 5 of them. Gibbs would be one of them that I would spend a first on. It'd have to be obviously plus. But are you actively trying to buy Gibbs? Would you try and buy Gibbs? And what would you pay for him? What is what do you think the asking price would be, or the going
Obviously,
price?
obviously you're going to have to start at a first round pick, and the team that
Mhm.
probably has Gibbs is going to want a first round pick and some sort of wide receiver, maybe a super flex type quarterback, thrown packaged in with that. And I don't know if I'm willing to do that just because of the running back, how how what's the word I'm looking for, how fluid the running back position is, not even on a season to season basis, on a week to week basis, man. It's just so hit and miss. And I know there's certain guys out there like a Bijan, obviously Derrick Henry in his heyday, Saquon Barkley you could kind of throw in there, Nick Chubb maybe, before he got injured. Guys like that. Christian McCaffrey obviously comes to mind as well. But we've seen these running backs, man, that just they're one injury away from it all just going down the drain. Seriously, just all going down the drain. Luckily for Jahmyr Gibbs, he is a rookie, so I think that bodes a little bit better for his value, compared to a guy like Barkley or Henry or, Mixon, some of these older guys. But I don't know. It really would depend. I would have to get into some heavy negotiation. Now, if I do have something extra on my bench that somebody wants that I'm not using, say I have a third quarterback, right? Say I have Josh Allen and T Law, and then I have a Jared Goff as my QB3, right? Potentially, that would be something I consider, even in a super flex league, where if I could get that young stud running back, that's something I would definitely consider. But it's tough. The running back position, like I said, is very fluid, and you're one play away from Nick Chubb. Like it's that simple for me. So I tend to not buy running backs for the most part. I did Austin Eckler, but I switched out Josh Jacobs for Austin Eckler, essentially. So that's kind of my train of thought with these running backs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to try and buy, especially now. I mean, you can't buy now. Like, you have to buy before it happens. You had to buy when he wasn't doing his thing. It's too late now, and the cost is just too much. Now, depending on your format, right? If it's a shallow format or if it's a deeper format, running backs may be more important,
Hmm.
obviously, in the more shallow format. So, you may want to go and buy a Gibbs at that point, especially a young running back. But in general, like Hammer said, the value is just it's not. You don't want to tie up all your assets and your value into the running back position, because if they do get injured, obviously that just kills that. You can't come back from that, right? You can't come off of that.
Yep.
So but if I was gonna buy him, I would pay probably definitely a first. It'd have to be. Would I pay a mid first? If I've got my quarterbacks in place, I'd pay a mid first, or a late first and a George Pickens.
Christian
That's
Watson,
realistically that's what
somebody
it
in
might
that.
cost, right?
Yeah,
Just as somebody in that range. So
absolutely. And I
I
think
would
I
say
think
I'd be willing to pay it, but you have to be in position to take on a Gibbs. You have to have the assets to take them on. You don't just do this and then you're still a mid team. Like, no, if you do this, it means that you're a contending team, and Gibbs is kind of gonna take
put
you
you over the
over the
top.
top and give you a guy to have for the future. So it's a good way to spend, your first or a young asset.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that with running backs, it's especially with this particular situation with Gibbs, you're going to have to be patient also because listen, while he is producing now, Monty is going to come back at some point, and Monty is going to get a good work share as we've seen early in the season. So that's also something you have to kind of build into understanding that if I trade for Gibbs right now and he's playing very well and Monty is not there, yeah, sure, I'm getting the RB1 production, but when Monty comes back, am I still going to get that RB1 upside? And the answer is probably no. You're probably going to get RB2 production potentially. And listen, we've seen that they want to protect him, right? They want to protect him. They want to make sure that he's not absorbing those 25 plus touches a game that essentially Monty, I think one game they ran Monty like 30 times or something like that. So they're not doing that with Gibbs.
Mhm.
Like you said, 11 carries a game, 5 or 6 in the passing, 5 or 6 targets, and that's kind of where he's going to be.
Yeah. So if I was selling Gibbs, that's the thing. If I was selling Gibbs, I'd probably even want more than Pickens on the late first, honestly. 2 first that you could have them. Um, but yeah, I might want a first Pickens and then give me something to make me feel good. Some kind of maybe other wide receiver or player maybe that I can get rid of, a backup running back maybe, I don't know. But I'm guessing that's kind of the range I'm kind of looking at. It's like a first-ish and anybody in like the Pickens area.
Tank Dell,
Nah, yeah, I need more than Tank Dell.
Nico Collins.
I might need something else on top because I'm still a little meh on Nico. Like, I like Nico, but I don't know if he's as high as people might. I'm not as high on him as people might be. I think he's a perfect like wide receiver 2-ish. I don't know if he's going to maintain the wide receiver 1 role and be that guy kind of always going
Mm-hmm.
forward. I kind of feel the same way about Tank Dell, where he's more in like the wide receiver barely flex range. It's going to be, I don't know, but that's
Yeah,
kind of
no,
how I feel about Nico.
I agree to a degree. I think that it's important too to target certain teams, right? Target certain
Mhm.
managers. Maybe you find a Lions fan out there that you can swindle a little bit, engage in negotiations, kind of see what that's like. But yeah, man, he'll definitely fetch you a good haul, especially now, right? If you're looking to sell him now, if you're on the selling end, you can really maximize and capitalize on his value because he's coming off a really big game. We know what he can do. You could really get pretty good value.
Yeah. Now we'll get into Kincaid. Emil, we're about to get into Kincaid now. Wizzy said thoughts on T, and we just kind of briefly spoke about T. If you rewind, you can see a little more in extent. But we both like T. We both think that he could possibly get franchised or maybe even get re-signed with with the Bengals, which would be ideal. But I think he can obviously be a wide receiver 1 somewhere else. And I don't know. It depends really on his ego almost. Can he just say, okay, I'm gonna be the gonna be the Robin to Batman, or is he gonna want to go on his own and be a team player and win Super Bowls with Joe Burrow and Chase?
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what he does. We've seen a ton of times where that kind of 1A receiver go to a team and be the guy, and it hasn't worked out per se. So I just because he'll receive the lion's share of the coverage, he's going to see number one corners. He's not playing with maybe as good of a quarterback, so it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. I do think he resigns because he sees that young kind of core. Now they have to pay Jamar Chase as well, and they just paid Joe Burrow, so that'll be really really interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. Would you send Higgins for ETN? Brian said.
That's a tough one because we talked about buying into running backs. Now I think ETN has been damn good. Efficiency wise, he hasn't been great, but he's producing touchdowns, and they're giving it to him down at that goal line. So the touchdown production you love, efficiency not tremendous at this point. I don't think I'm doing it, but I guess it really depends. Like we always say, it really depends. Like who are your other wide receivers? You know, if you've got a Jamar Chase or if you've got a Justin Jefferson and a Garrett Wilson, some of these younger guys that you can kind of afford to send Higgins away because you need a running back, then maybe you would consider it. But in a vacuum, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't love buying running backs, but I would do this trade. And I would do this trade only because of ETN's value right now. And I think you can
Mm-hmm.
get more than Higgins. Like, so if I was to get ETN, I'd probably shop him for somebody else, even more than Higgins. Even if I have to add something, ETN will get me closer to a higher tiered wide receiver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
That's
makes
kind
sense.
of how I feel about it. Just on a value purpose, I would, but it also depends on your league, right? Do
Yeah,
people value running backs or not? Are you going to be stuck with ETN? And are you in a position to be, stuck with ETN? Like
right,
Hammer said, do you have the assets to make this move where you're still, you're contending and you're just picking up ETN?
right. Yeah, the
Yeah,
context always matters for sure.
use my wide receiver, use my waiver number 1 on Kincaid. I'm currently playing Taysom. Yeah, I wouldn't bank on Taysom for the rest of the season. I think it's interesting right now because he's getting some work. I don't know what happens when Juwan Johnson comes back, but I think Taysom is interesting at the moment. But I mean, I think you got to pick up Kincaid.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Now, it's always, using your number one waiver on the tight end is always interesting. But I think Kincaid is one of those guys, especially with Dawson Knox out and headed for surgery. It appears it doesn't say that there's any timetable, so that boosts his value even more. So I would say, yeah, if you're rolling out Taysom Hill every single week, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, is Kincaid who we thought he was? He was a highly touted tight end, the first tight end off the board in first rounds of even Superflex leagues. Kincaid was coming off the board, especially in for tight end premium leagues, and wasn't really doing much. Obviously, Knox was a little kind of thorn in the side there, and then now we see almost second half of the season, as we keep saying for these rookies, and we see him come alive with the what was it, 8 catches? What do you have?
No, he didn't have his last game. No, he's only had one. He hasn't had a game with more than three. Oh no, that's Dawson Knox. What am I doing?
Yeah, he had 8 for 75.
Yeah,
On
there
8
we go.
targets.
Yep.
Played 61% of the snaps, which was his highest snap share of the season. So, yeah, I mean, is he who we thought? Now he's going to have his chance. He's lining up in the slot. Knox is out, obviously, for a while. So, is Kincaid the man we thought he was, Hammer?
All signs point to yes. I do think, especially with the tight ends, and we had the Gold Bills podcast on here some time ago, and he kind of told us to be patient, and he was spot on the money with everything he said regarding Kincaid. And I think it's one of those things where if you have him or if you had him stashed on your taxi spot, it might be time to kind of bump him up depending on what your tight end position looks like going forward. So yeah, I mean, listen, tight end is incredibly shallow, so he's a young athletic guy playing with Josh Allen on a pretty good Bills offense. I don't see why he can't be the third guy in that pecking order, or even number 2 on a good day behind Diggs.
Yeah, I think so too. So, what's he worth? I mean, you got him as a late first. So you're not obviously giving him up for anything,
Less than that.
less than a late first. So you've got a young team, let's say you're not contending. You've got 3 firsts, and you've got no tight end. I've got Kincaid. It just so happened to maybe have a Mark Andrews as well. What are you going to give me for Kincaid?
That's really tough, to be honest with you, because I don't think Dawson Knox is going to be there. I don't know what his contract obviously looks like, but it's so tough, man, because tight ends take so long to develop. Like they really do. Like Sam Laporta is the absolute outlier here. I think we're all super excited, especially if you got Sam Laporta. I was fortunate enough to take him in our subscriber league, and that was really kind of hit pay dirt there. But we're even seeing it with a guy like Michael Mayer, right? Same thing, where it's taken him some time. He did have a good game. He didn't have a good game the last game, but the game before that, he kind of had a nice little breakout game. A Luke Musgrave, same thing. So these tight ends take a long time to develop. I don't think I'm paying a first round pick for Dalton Kincaid just because I feel like I can go out there and find something that's going to give me at least equal production or similar production without having to give up a first round asset. So I'm not giving up a first round pick.
But does he have the upside? Tight end premium, let's just say. Does he have the upside in that Bills offense to make you say he could be up there with a Laporta and with this offense with Josh Allen?
You can make that argument, but historically, especially in the Josh Allen era, they don't historically throw to tight ends a lot.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Dawson Knox has had his kind of boom or bust moments, very touchdown dependent. you know, so that definitely concerns me. And now I know he's obviously a really good talent and a really good prospect, but I don't know, dude. I don't think I'm investing that capital into a tight end position. I don't think I can do it,
No,
especially a first round pick.
I feel you. I don't know if I could do it either, to be honest. I wouldn't recommend to go and buy him for a first plus. I mean, what do you buy a tight end for that? You know, when you've got probably other things to fix. If you can get if you can get him for cheaper, I mean, I guess, but you ain't gonna get him for cheap now. So he's kind of like locked in. You almost can't get him, basically.
Yeah, it's like
All right, let's say if you were selling them,
okay. Yeah, I'd look for a back end one. Like I'd ask for that. I don't know if I'd get it, but I'd certainly ask.
Sure, but that's what you paid, let's say. Would you take Komet in a second?
Cole Kmet in a second. No, because Justin Fields, that Bears offense is trash. Kincaid has higher upside than Cole Kmet in a second, to me, anyway. No, I'm not taking Cole Kmet.
Would you take Darren Waller in a second?
No, Darren Waller is like 100. I'd take Kmet in a second before I took Waller in a second.
What if then you can move Waller for another second, and now you got 2 seconds out of Kincaid? Is that good enough, or no? It's gotta be the first.
It's gotta be the back end first at least, or even a young player like a Josh.
What about
say a Downs?
Josh
Right?
Downs?
I'd consider
Downs
that.
straight up for Kincaid?
I'd consider it. Because think about it, right? If you have Kincaid, most likely you have an established tight end. Most likely, right? That's kind of the premise that we're working on.
Not necessarily. That's why I was saying like Cole Kmet in a second. Like Kincaid is your own. What if Kincaid's your only guy? You get another guy to start, and you get a second round pick on top of it, and you're still getting top 10 production at the tight end position.
But that's what that
is the second on top not enough?
That's considering what in a super flex league, I understand a second round pick is still valuable. I would try and go out and get. That's so tough, man. It's really tough to judge his value, honestly, because he's played one good game. So that's why I'm struggling with it a little bit, because I want to see like what the consistency is. Now, I know what you're gonna say. You want to get in. You want to get in before
the quarterback, right? I mean,
you want to get in or out, depending on what side of the boat you're on.
Do you want in on the offense?
Potentially, it's like I said, it's so tough. If I don't have a tight end, I would try and give up, a young-ish player with some upside, like one of those young wide receivers that we talked about. But it's tough, like I said, because it is such a shallow position. Now, if you're playing in tight end premium, that there's a little extra motivation to go out and get a guy, that does play with Josh Allen. So that's super tough. I'd take the Cole Kmet in a second before I took the Waller in a second.
We'll get into Addison in a second. Caddy said he's 6-1. Trade Pacheco for JJ. Yeah.
1,000%. 2 times on Sunday, by the way.
Emil said Higgins will get traded by the deadline. We'll see. So then he goes and does he become a wide receiver 1 somewhere? Or does he go to a bad spot? I mean, is there a bad spot?
New England.
Or is that good?
I don't know.
Or is that good? Obviously be the guy.
With Juju basically being a bust.
Huh? Yeah, Juju is. We knew what Juju was.
So I just that volume of offense, I'm not crazy about it. Mac is an accurate quarterback, but I don't know.
Yeah, Crispy, the depth is crazy important. That's why, and we'll talk about one of our last topics on today, and we'll start getting into this a little bit more. Last topic today is going to be on backup running back. So we'll talk about the depth. Gustavo, what's up, brother? Appreciate you. Bobby said first and a third for Diggs. Uh, what is the first? Is it early? Well, I don't think I'd want to spend an early one, but I'd spend a late first and a third if I'm competing for Diggs for sure.
Yeah, if Diggs is going to get you over the top and you're anywhere from 8 through 12 in a 12-man league, oh yeah, give me some Diggs to get me over the top. And I would imagine you got a pretty decent team. So if you slide in Diggs as your number 2 receiver or something like that, fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. All right, Addison. Obviously, huge game last night. Ripped the ball from dude's hand, scored that crazy tutty. Had the other one. Doing his thing with JJ down. We got life on the Vikings. I think we both agreed that Addison was going to have probably the best rookie season statistic wise out of all the rookies. And now, obviously, the situation gets even better without JJ there because he was good before, but he wasn't like wasn't busting out crazy, but he was getting tutties, obviously, in this
Mm-hmm.
high-powered offense. But yeah, after this game, obviously, he's going to skyrocket up in price, and it's going to be obvious. It's too late to try and get him now. Like,
Right.
we've always got to try and be ahead of the curve, buy the guys at the right time. Um, and even sell guys at the right time as well, right? But yeah, what do you think about Addison that game last night, and what he's done to his dynasty value?
I think his dynasty value was already solid. He was essentially a
Mhm.
lineup lock, even with Justin Jefferson in the lineup and healthy and rolling. So, because we knew what that Vikings offense was going to be, they're going to throw it 40 times a game, and that's exactly what happened last night. And now that he's the number one target. He finished as the wide receiver one in PPR last week. It's no coincidence. So, I already thought his value was pretty high, and it's probably even higher now. He's probably going for a mid to early first plus a little something on top of that.
Mhm.
I actually would be on the selling end. I would be on more on the selling end than I would the buy end, just because if you're looking to the future, I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to be there next season. Now, I could be wrong. If they make a little bit of a run, maybe they compete, maybe they get a playoff spot, maybe they win a playoff game. But I think if they maybe fall short of the playoffs or they one and done in the wild card, I think they're going to say, hey, listen, we got a decent nucleus at the skill position, right? With Hawkinson, with Addison, with Justin Jefferson. Maybe we should go and get us a younger quarterback. Maybe they trade for Kyler Murray. That would be very interesting if they did something like that and pair him
Mhm.
with all those guys. The
Mhm.
contract is crazy, but I'm just saying something along those lines. I will say this though, I think Kirk Cousins is the right quarterback for this particular situation. I don't think a
Mhm.
rookie quarterback is gonna help this team like a fresh rookie right out of college type quarterback. Unless you're getting CJ Stroud, then who knows, maybe,
Mhm.
but or CJ Stroud like quarterback. But just to circle back on Addison, the dude is awesome. You're probably giving up a mid to early first, and then you can even ask
Mhm.
for a little something more on top of that, just because we see how good he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's probably at least a mid first now at this point, or a late first plus. So it's kind of what you're looking at to spend, and it's just not the right time to buy. I mean, I don't advise to buy him right now. It's just too high. Wait until next season. Wait till Kirk Cousins is not there. Wait till Addison is not doing as great as he was this year, and then like you just find the right time to buy him. Right now, it's not the right time to buy Addison at the moment. He's just going to cost you way too much.
I would agree.
Marty said Puka. Yeah, Puka's a beast. Puka's doing his thing. Absolutely. Would you guys trade St. Brown to get Swift in need of a no, fuck no.
Not in
Hell no,
Dynasty.
Anthony.
Not
No,
even in
no.
redraft, really.
No, not even in redraft. We're not. We're definitely not doing that. Trade one of your weaker wide receivers for some other running back. For Kareem Hunt. There you go. You start Kareem Hunt over Zach Moss this week. He's got Achan and Monty out.
Man, Zach Moss is still getting good work. How long does that last? I don't know. Kareem Hunt's getting in the end zone, prick. Because I could have had Kareem Hunt in the league, man. Yeah, I think I'm rolling Kareem Hunt here against Seattle. Now he's not crazy efficient, but he's getting those touchdowns, and it says he's likely to start. Now that I don't think. Oh, Jerome
Ford is
Ford.
out. Ford is out.
That's right.
Out. So you got, Pierre Strong is a guy I put on my waiver wire video to pick up for this week as just a backup to Hunt. He's going to get some touches. So, but yeah, Hunt is going to be the guy right now that's going to get the ball.
Yeah, I'll take Kareem Hunt just because I know he'll get more volume than Zach Moss. Looks like Jonathan Taylor's kind of rounding into form. So yeah, I'll take Kareem Hunt here in an offense that he's very familiar with. Yeah, he's been fine in the end zone, man. 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games.
Yeah. Josh Downs doing his thing with Minshew. Minshew likes him. He targets him. Downs doing his thing. He was a guy I liked coming into the season. I think he was like my wide receiver 5, 4 or 5. And yeah, I mean, the talent is there, but the main question was like, okay, is A-Rich going to be able to get him the ball as much as like we want to?
Mm-hmm.
And now, he goes down. Minshew is slinging the rock, and Minshew's throwing it all over to him. I played Downs in 2 leagues this week. But yeah, what do you think about Downs, and what do you think? Like, does this change when A-Rich comes back next season?
So I actually have Josh Downs in a redraft league, and like a dumbass, I put him on the bench. It didn't cost me. I put him on the bench for Josh Palmer, so that didn't really hurt me too much because Palmer had a really good week. I wasn't sure who to play between the two. It didn't cost me. I got the win, and it wasn't particularly close. But to see Josh Downs really explode is awesome, and I think he has some staying power just because I think Anthony Richardson will develop as a passer. To what degree, I'm not sure, but I think you've seen enough now over the last couple of weeks to say, okay, Josh Downs has some good staying power. I don't think he'll ever be a wide receiver 1, but if he's a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, I'm comfortable with that on my team. I don't necessarily know if I'm buying in. He's a bit of a smaller guy, so it's really tough for me to say that I would buy into him. If I had him, I'm looking to see what I could cash in these chips for, especially his last 3 weeks. 16 catches, right, on 20 targets for close to 250 yards and 2 touchdowns in his last 3 games. That's pretty damn productive. Currently sitting at wide receiver 27 after 7 weeks in full PPR. So I would definitely look to cash in, see what I could get for him.
Give you Ray McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin makes me nervous, man. I love McLaurin, but I want somebody with a little more upside, a little younger with a little more upside.
You Downs and a second. Give you Pickens for Downs and a second.
Yeah, I'd probably do that.
Okay, I'll give you Rashee Rice or Downs and a third.
No, I'm not crazy about Rashee Rice. I'm good. Downs.
Okay.
I think Downs is a little bit better. Now I know he's playing with Patrick Mahomes, so that
Would you take Shaheed in a second?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
Tank Dell.
I like Tank Dell. I think they're kind of in similar. I think they're very similar. Where they're definitely explosive guys, smaller on the smaller side. I think they really project out as kind of low end wide receiver twos. Both of those guys with boomer bust type potential. I think that's lateral, so I'd take Tank Dell because I think Tank Dell's playing with a more accurate quarterback at this point. Can't hear you.
Like any of those guys, basically I mentioned, I'll take that guy. I'll take the package. Like I'll take the pick with it. Fine. Give me, any of those guys I said. Who did I say?
Shaheed, Rashee Rice.
Give me the package. I don't care if I like the player or not. I'll just take the package, and then I could just move off of that player if I need to. But I get the pick. Like I like Downs, but I'm like take advantage and move off. Just pick up the extra piece, pick up the extra asset. It's all the same tier of players. It's just a matter of who's producing right now and who's not, almost, right?
Yeah, I agree. There's some guys I like more than others, and I think if I were to keep them per se, I kind of look at it more from that standpoint. If I'm actually going to have this guy on my team, then maybe that's a little bit short sighted on my part. But I just look at it what guy is maybe going to accrue value, right? I think a guy like Pickens will accrue a little bit more value because he's a little more flashy. I like a guy like Tank Dell as well because he plays in a better situation with a better quarterback, so he's probably going to have more consistent weeks than a guy like Josh Downs. Listen, with Minshew, he's been going nuts, which is really good to see. So maybe this is the perfect time to come off of him when he is playing really well with a guy like Minshew slinging it all over.
Okay, he's got Pearson Johnson, RB2, weakest of the week. Yeah. Streak has ended for Gustavo thanks to Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen. I know he hurt.
Yeah,
Hurt me for sure.
When I play Keenan Allen, he goes off for 40 against me, and then when I'm not playing him, he has whatever he had, 6, I think.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, DK winds up and nobody really even knew. All of a sudden, he was just inactive. But DK winds up missing this game, and JSN comes in, and what was his?
He had 4 for 63 in the touchdown.
4 for 63 in the touchdown, 7 targets, led the team in targets. Really, what we wanted to see, kind of that breakout game, like Gibbs had. We wanted to see, something from JSN. Now, as a whole, Geno didn't throw the ball much. I think he only had like 23 completions, but JSN with the 7 targets on it. They played, more with the slot wide receiver. They've been playing a lot more like 2 tight end, 3 tight end sets, so 3 tight end sets a lot for the for the offensive line. And because JSN plays on the slot, I mean that's where he plays, and Bobo gets a lot of snaps as well because Bobo's a great blocker, which sucks, but that's what he's in there for. And he also made a sick catch. That TD Bobo had,
yeah,
that was a pretty sick catch. But JSN kind of showcased a little bit of kind of what we're looking for and what we look forward to, obviously, in the future, with maybe getting some more work later on in this season as the season goes on. Maybe Lockett gets phased out. DK's a little bit banged up right now, so good opportunity. But yeah, what did you think about JSN in this game? I wound up like starting him in 2 leagues. I put him in at the last minute. I was like, oh shit, throw JSN in there, and did his thing. But yeah, what do you think about JSN and his dynasty value and kind of where he falls now?
I think it's still kind of steady. I think people will get really excited over the touchdown, but I don't want to get too high or even too low on him. If I have him, I'm kind of riding it out because I do think he is one of those potential Garrett Wilson type players. Now, I don't think he's a true number one per se, but I think he can give you number one production. Now, the Geno Smith thing, I'm not in love with it. I wish he played with a quarterback that was a little bit better, a little more dynamic throwing the football. But I think I'm a hold right now. If I have him, I'm not really trying to sell him just because you look at the talent and you kind of see it's there. Now we had a massive argument in our home league group chat yesterday, which was fantastic. I wish you guys could see it. But I do think that if you have a guy like JSN, you have to hold on to him because if you trade him away and he ends up turning out to be something really special, then you're like, damn, I really gave him away for probably under what I could have got for him. And I just think the situation really does matter. And we were talking about this in the group chat where he's playing behind two established receivers, right? On a team that's not really throwing it around a ton. They have Kenny Walker. Obviously, we know DK and Lockett. Bobo has emerged as well, so that's kind of eaten into JSN's upside to a degree here in his rookie season. So I think the biggest word with JSN right now is patience.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, obviously the situation, and for me, at JSN is kind of, I don't know if I want to say Garrett Wilson esque. I want to say like St. Brownish. That slot guy that's getting in and out in the zones. He's that PPR guy because he's getting that. I mean, 5 targets, 6 targets, 3 targets, 6 targets, 5 targets, 7 targets. Like he's involved, not enough that you like, but when he's out there like running the routes, like he's getting the football, like so I like that aspect that he just kind of reminds me more of like a St. Brown and the second half of the season I look forward to, but you also have to be realistic that it could not happen with, if DK is healthy and kind of Lockett's doing his thing and it's not any detriment to JSN, but we'll see if they continue to run out those 3 wide receiver sets or they still continue this 2 tight end, 3 tight end bullshit that they run. Um so
Just
we'll
a
see what
really,
happens. But
really, really interesting note. Prior to the bye week in week 5 for Seattle, JSN's snap percentage was no higher than 60. After the bye, the last 2 games, 72% and 63% respectively. So maybe that gives you some insight into kind of, how they want to use him if they feel like he's got a better grasp of the offense, if he's more in sync with Geno Smith, et cetera, et cetera. So,
well, I think one thing that kind of really stands out, if you look at the yards per touch,
mm-hmm,
like early on in the season, they were kind of just getting
minimal.
into them really, really short, like at the line of scrimmage. You can see it 2.6, 5.67, 3.3, 0.8. And then all of a sudden, after the bye, week 6 and 7, 9.6, 9. Like those numbers significantly jumped. And the yards per catch as well from 4.3 to 6.8 to 10 to 1.6 to 12 to 15.75. So it's just an increase on everything that they kind of gave him the last 2 weeks. So I think that's a really good sign kind of going forward.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And I think sometimes with certain guys, you have to kind of look a little bit deeper into those kind of secondary statistics, yards per target, yards per catch, et cetera. Snap percentage, routes run per game, or routes run per snap, whatever the case may be. So that might give you some indication of where his arrow is pointing. But listen, especially if DK is banged up, if obviously Lockett's on the plus 30 side as a wide receiver, gotta imagine that as the season goes on, he's going to be utilized more.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like JSN. I mean, he obviously was a early to midish pick, so he's obviously worth at the least a midish first, but he's even more than that. I mean, he's up there. A lot of people do still like him, but a lot of people don't. So, he's kind of in that weirdish category where he's available in some leagues where you can actually go after him and try and get him. Can you trade an older player like a Stefan Diggs-ish, and go and get a JSN if you're rebuilding, if you've got to sell players like you might be able to get a one-ish for one, just from the production standpoint of what Diggs is giving you, where that's pretty much a cheap buy for JSN compared to what his value was going into the season, especially in dynasty startups. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, for me, I mean he's like 2 firsts, bro. Or a late first and a player.
That's interesting because I think a lot of people are definitely down, and I think his value has taken a hit just because, like I
Yeah.
said, that the expectation, considering how high he was drafted, the team that he went to, what we saw him in college, what we saw him do in college, I think his value is definitely taking a hit. So if you can go out
Mhm.
there and buy him, for a late first, maybe plus a little
Might be
something
able
on
to.
top, like I think people would be okay with that. I mean, I think people are more likely to kind of to part with him for a late first plus maybe a decent receiver. So a late first in Pickens, a late first in Dubes, right?
Mm.
So, but I think people see like Dubes has outproduced
No, you
JSN this
could. I
season,
think
right?
that's the
Pickens has
thing.
outproduced JSN.
It's so mixed feelings. Like you're either gonna pay the actual price for JSN that like we all kind of believe in and what he was kind of basically going into the year, or you're gonna get him for cheap because that person just is done with him and
Set
doesn't
up,
believe in
yep.
him anymore. Like there's no almost like middle ground. It's like people either hate him or people love him.
And I think
You
I
know?
think something that you even said, before the season started is, yeah, like these rookies look really good when it's draft time, but then when it's time to actually score points and get your team in position to win, people get frustrated really quick and they kind of go
Mhm.
into that when the season starts, people go into redraft mode, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's something also that you can kind of take a little bit of advantage of. Now if the person is a real hardcore dynasty player and they value their young guys and they understand the patience. Listen, if you think about it like this, if you had Devontae Adams when he was in his first 3 years with the Packers, you would have been out on him. And then he turns out to be one of the best receivers of the generation, right?
Mhm.
He was a generational receiver. And that was with Aaron Rodgers for his whole career, basically. So that's some of the thinking, to put it into its proper perspective.
Mhm. Well, I mean, you could even look at Stefan Diggs too. I mean, wide receiver 46 and then wide receiver 30 and then wide receiver 19
Hmm.
and wide receiver 10, 24, and then boom, 3, 7, 4, 2. Like,
Yeah.
you- and that was when like Adam Thielen was the man at that point,
Yep.
when Diggs
Yep.
first came in. So,
For sure.
you had to be patient with him. He didn't have his first 1,000-yard season until his fourth season in the league.
Absolutely. So that's one of the things that we're talking about in terms of if you like this guy, and he's drafted to be a generational type talent, which JSN was obviously in the first round, value him appropriately.
Yeah. Well, QJ's value, Palmer's outplaying him, can't carve any role even without Mike Will out.
I still like Quentin Johnston. Now I might have overstated it when I said that he could potentially be in the rookie of the year conversation. I think that's pretty much over with guys like um, Addison and Zay Flowers outperforming him. But Josh Palmer is a really good receiver. right, in that offense. He knows, he's been there. He's played with Herbert for a while. Don't forget Keenan Allen is still commanding a massive target share. So I think Quentin Johnston's value is probably going to show up maybe next season, but I still think he has really good value. And especially these first round wide receivers, they're going to get their opportunities. They're not just going to be, discarded like a fourth or fifth round guy. So I think QJ still has value, and I would buy extremely low on him if I could.
Yeah, I bought him in one of the hustle leagues for what did I buy him for? I wound up basically paying like a couple seconds worth, but I gave up some defensive guys. I gave up, my guy Daniil Hunter, which he's really good. I gave up Hunter and Zach Wilson. So like for me, it was like, all right, I spent maybe a couple seconds. Some people thought it was a lot, but I was willing to take the chance on I'm a rebuilding team. I think I spent a late second as well. I gave that guy a second back. So essentially, I feel like I paid like 2 seconds for him, and I had like 4 seconds or 3 seconds, so I still have like 2 or 3 more. Baller, what's up, Baller? Oh, I missed him. But yeah, I'm still okay for trying to go in cheap. Now, listen, we're risky at this point. He hasn't done what he should have done, but when you look a little bit deeper, QJ's strengths are not being really used right now. His strengths are, the short slants, the yards after catch with his big body and being able to move after the catch. Like that's his strengths. And I don't feel like they're putting him in position to, for his strengths. They've got him running fucking curls and deep routes. And that's not really his strengths. Like those are things that he still has to work on. So, that's one thing I don't think a lot of people are looking at. They're just kind of looking like, okay, well, he has a shot, and now like he's not producing. Like Palmer's been in that offense a while now, and he's been that second guy after when somebody goes down. So like it's not surprising that Palmer is getting that role. In order to let QJ learn the offense and the NFL and get better at the same time. So I think that we all knew going into the season that QJ had one of the highest upsides, but also had one of the lowest floors. Like we knew that coming in, we knew that, it was a risk, but he's also in, with a good quarterback and a pretty good offense that produces points. So he's in a good situation. It's unfortunate that he had not only 2 guys, but 3 guys in front of him on this particular team. And I think we all kind of just put him right in like, okay, he's going to be the third guy, but underestimating how good like Palmer is and how much he was involved in the offense and knows the offense for that team. So yeah.
And also, don't forget, they have a guy in the backfield whose name is Austin Eckler, who is essentially a de facto wide receiver on that team. If you're talking about in terms of target share on a given season, especially when he's rolling. Now, I know Austin Eckler's been hurt, so that would kind of lead to you expecting a little more from QJ, because Austin Eckler demands targets in the passing game, especially as much as the Chargers throw it around. And it looks like Gerald Everett has emerged once again as a viable pass catcher. So take from that what you will. But I just think, like you said, I think the biggest thing you said is guys like Josh Palmer, guys like Gerald Everett, those guys have been there for a while. They're familiar. They know what's going on. They're in sync with Justin Herbert. And I think Quentin Johnston's learning curve is probably taking a little bit longer than, some of these other guys like an Addison, a Zay Flowers, even a JSN, who's actually out there and kind of mixing it up, and you're seeing some flashes. So I would definitely be patient with QJ as well, especially if you probably spent a first round pick in your rookie draft on him. I think there is some upside being connected to a really good quarterback in Justin Herbert.
Sure. One Nation said he got to offer a second for Hunt. Yeah, I'll accept him. Our other running backs are CMC, Jacobs, and Monty. And both Monty and CMC have a bye week 9, so I'm going to need Hunt.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you're in contention, then I'm probably not going to be looking to sell Hunt. Unless I can still hunt and buy like another backup running back with like a third. Can I buy Demercado for a third right now to buy me a few weeks? You know what I mean? In that case, like, yeah, I'll take the second. I don't know, what the, you know, trading is like in your league or not, and what the other GMs are and who has who. But like, if you knew that you can buy it like a Demercado for a third right now, then yeah, I'd take the second for Hunt and then I'd go buy Demercado and I'd bank the second.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I mean, I just think a second for Hunt right now. I would imagine Jerome Ford would be back at some point.
He's
So
gonna be.
if he got CMC and Jacobs, I think there's other guys you can fill in. If you feel like you need Hunt, then roll him out there. Like that's. I think a second for Hunt is probably a lot because you probably picked Hunt up off the waiver wire, right? So that's just kind of
That's
money, and that's money in the bank if you want to look
exactly.
at it
That's
from
what I'm
that
saying.
perspective.
Right? So yeah, give me the second and then I'll figure it out. Let me go buy somebody else for the week, Where you got to spend a third or a fourth on anybody, a spot start, a foreman. I mean, you know, Zach Moss. I mean, I'm fine with playing any of those guys for, the 1 week or 2 weeks, whatever it is that you need for right now, and banking that second round pick, you know?
Yep.
So if I accept, I'll have 2 seconds. Any RBs you think I could target with? Well, I guess we just kind of went with well, I don't know if I don't want to spend a second, so let me spend the third. You shouldn't have to spend a second plus. You go after some of the guys we just mentioned, some of these, not high profile guys, but these guys that are just getting a few starts right now. So cheap guys, Donta Foreman and who else did I say? Demercado. Let's give him some more. I don't know who else is playing right now.
I don't know if you could throw
Fucking Daryl Henderson, bro. He ain't costing you more than a third or a fourth. Guys like that.
Who else is out there? Jeff Wilson.
Wilson, yeah. I mean, I don't like him as much as some of the other guys, I think. But yeah, I mean, if you had to, I'm okay with that. Who else would be out there? Fucking Devin Singletary.
I don't know if I'm in love with that either, but
I don't love it either. But it's just an idea. Gus Edwards, a fucking Jeremy Hill.
Yeah. Gus Edwards, Jeremy Hill.
Yeah.
I would feel a little bit better about
Joshua Kelly. Like, I don't care. I'll play any of those guys if I'm able to bank the second and buy any of those guys for cheaper.
Yeah.
Stevenson or Kyron? Well, Stevenson. Kyron is no. I don't love Stevenson either, but he's at least going to be playing next year for the for the Patriots and is going to be getting the ball. I don't know if Kyron Williams is going to be getting the ball next year. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Kyron's currently on IR, so that kind of makes that an easy decision. Stevenson hasn't been good. So he kind of, especially, I don't know, Kyron's been pretty good, man, when he was playing. It's just unfortunate that he went down. He was balling. I don't know, man. I'm not crazy about Stevenson. I think I'd lean Kyron if you're talking Dynasty here.
I don't think is a workhorse guy. I think by situation he went into that role. I don't think they see him as a 3 down guy or workhorse guy as we see now how he just got hurt because he's just a smaller guy. He can't take that kind of work. So yeah, I don't really care much for Kyron. Give me Stevenson on even the shitty Patriots offense. I know he's at least been a top 10 guy, and I know he's going to get the football. He's just unfortunately in a shitty offense. And Kyron hasn't really been efficient or really that good either. He's just been scoring a bunch of tutties. That's where all his points are coming from. And I don't know if that's not sustainable, the tear that he was on obviously earlier in the season. So yeah, give me Stevenson, Kev. Give me Stevenson. Hammer likes Kyron. I like Stevenson.
I don't trust Bill Belichick when it comes to running backs.
I don't trust any running backs. I mean, you can't really. It's hard to
I
look into
understand.
next year for anybody. I would think Stevenson would have concrete would be at least a role. So, uh, Caddy, what did I miss yours? Cat, my bad, Caddy. I'll find it. Can you find it, Hammer? What did I miss on Caddy? Marty said, with all those people in front of him, what will change next year? Who are we talking about? We're talking about QJ, Marty. Well, let's see. Joshua Palmer's got one more year.
Yeah, how about QJ's value? Palmer outplaying him. We talked about that pretty in
Yeah,
depth.
well, we've got Palmer's. Well, Palmer's got one more year on his contract. Keenan Allen is old. And there were talks of like them possibly releasing him like this season early before the season started, which was kind of crazy. But I mean the contract. And then you got Mike Williams who can't stay healthy and now just broke his shit. So, you know, for the
There's a path
next
there.
year, there's a path, and for even further, I mean, he was a first round pick, so he's got the 4 years and he's got the 50-year option. Like, so he's got some time to grow with, with Herbert. Now, hopefully, we see it more towards the end of the season. Hopefully, we see it, a little bit next year, and then, we see what happens from there. But they've got to at least give him a chance where to show his strengths, and I don't feel like they've kind of done that so far.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, like I said, I think with a full year under his belt, going through this year, seeing what the grind is like, and listen, he's in front of two professional receivers when we're talking about QJ, right? I mean, obviously Mike Will not being there, but Keenan Allen, like that's as about a professional receiver as we've seen in the league. So I think you know, there is a path there. I don't think they see Josh Palmer as, a long term guy, especially, what he is. And, Josh Palmer is a really good receiver that's just been in that offense for a while. So there is a path for QJ. I would definitely, like I said, I would definitely have exercise some patience with him. I know people's patience are running thin, especially with some of these guys that were taken in the first round of the real NFL draft and your rookie draft. So you kind of want to see these guys produce pretty early, like an Addison, like a Zay Flowers to a lesser degree. We bring up the JJ and Chase thing where people just want that, you know, 12, 1,300 yard rookie season.
He was raw though. We knew that he was raw. We knew that he wasn't a complete guy coming out. We knew that,
And I think they
right? We
took him because they had those two guys and Josh Palmer. Like I think they had that plan where
Mhm.
it was like, listen, we want him to be Mike Will, a better version, obviously, but we want him to be that in a year plus.
Bench, Pacheco, Walker, Hall, or Barkley.
Pacheco's definitely fired up. Kenneth Walker, I'm firing up.
Yeah, so you're gonna fucking sit Brees Hall and Saquon? Is that what you're telling me?
No, it's bench one.
Bench one. You said you're firing up Pacheco and Walker, but the only other two are Hall and Barkley. That means you're benching one of them. Benching Brees or Saquon?
I don't think I could bench Brees. I think I'm going Barkley here. You can make the argument Kenneth Walker, but
You're gonna sit Saquon?
I might call me
Okay.
call me crazy.
I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy. I mean, Walker's got the worst matchup against
Matchup.
Cleveland. If you want to go matchup based, because all these guys have, good
Barkley doesn't have a
upside,
good matchup
even though
either.
I don't like Pacheco. Well, the Jets have been getting got on the ground though,
But I think that offense gets
and
after it.
Barkley is just going to get the ball regardless on the
Yeah,
ground and in the air. So he's got that PPR
he's
kind
getting
of
volume
upside,
for sure.
So I think if it's full PPR, we might have to go Walker here. We might have to go Walker. Otherwise, it's Pacheco. It's really close. I'll let you decide which one, but I I just dislike Pacheco. Um, so
Pacheco's been really good, and he has a
That's what I'm saying. It's
fantastic
it's
matchup.
full PPR though too. What's Walker been doing through the air?
Nothing,
Nothing.
virtually nothing.
Yeah. So I'll sit Walker then.
But he's getting 20 plus attempts every game, and the touchdown volume.
But it is against Cleveland, so it might, maybe with the matchup. Yeah. Let's sit Walker. I might live to regret that. No, I'm not sitting Walker. No. Yeah, I'm sitting Walker.
It's a tough decision, honestly, just because under normal circumstances, it's Pacheco, but the matchup is really good, and Pacheco's been really good as well. So under
That's what
normal
I'm saying.
circumstances, it would be Pacheco here, but he's getting the ball, and it's a plus matchup. I'm not
It's
sitting
it's
Pacheco.
it's Pacheco that, like you said, should be the guy to sit, but it's a plus matchup, and then Walker doesn't have a plus, has a minus matchup, I guess you can say. Pacheco, I don't give a fuck.
That's a tough one. How do you have all four of those guys?
Sit in Pacheco. Sit in Pacheco. Bayou in the building said, hit that like. Appreciate you, Bayou. It was good, bro. Marty said, you convinced me. I'm trading for him right now. Well, the thing is, now is the time to do it because you could get him for so cheap. Like, if you're going to take the chance on him, like, you don't have to necessarily spend a late first for him. Even if you do, I wouldn't spend a late first for him. But
For
if you
who?
can
Who are we
send a
talking
couple
about?
stack-ins or a second and a piece and get QJ, then yeah.
It's a
All
good
right,
buy.
Jalen Hyatt. Jalen
Um,
Hyatt. Bagalaz boy.
that is Bagalaw's boy.
Hasn't gone crazy this season. I mean, only had 2 catches, but he did have 75 yards and he did have 5 targets, which is the most he's had all season. And the last 2 weeks, his snap percentage has been the most it's been, 73 and 71. It's kind of gone up almost like every week. So yeah, what you think about Jalen Hyatt now?
So it's really interesting that Jalen Hyatt has become at least on the radar. I wouldn't say a factor because he's not a factor, um, but he's at least on the radar. And based on what I've seen from Tyrod Taylor now, I know I listen to a ton of New York sports radio, and a lot of people are saying, fuck Daniel Jones, just play Tyrod Taylor the rest of the season. I don't think that's going to happen. But what I've seen from Tyrod Taylor, maybe it's opening up the eyes of the organization to say, hey, we need to give Hyatt 1 or 2 chances a game, deep, let him go and just give him a chance. So I don't think he's a factor, but he's on the radar. I guess that's the best way I could put it. In a Giants offense, that's not very good. Let's just call it what it is. It's not very good.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't love Hyatt coming out. I mean, he wasn't a great route runner. He was kind of one of those Gabe Davis-y, like, get behind the defense, fucking gimmick,
But they
kind
don't
of
have
guy.
the offense.
Just always wide open. He's got a ton of speed, so he can run that fly. He can run the deep route. But I think, he's better for them from an NFL standpoint, from a team standpoint, than, he is going to be for a fantasy standpoint or for your
Yeah.
fantasy team. It's going to be very, hit or miss. I think, he's a fine best ball guy, but when you're talking just regular like lineup, I mean, it's tough to ever try and play him. I wouldn't be buying. I mean, if you did want to buy him, you'd probably have to pay a second, and I don't want to pay that. If I had him,
I'm not doing
you
that.
offered me a second, you can have him. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how I feel about him, or where he's kind of at. I don't think he'll ever be a wide receiver 1 or even a wide receiver 2 for fantasy at that point. Can he maybe sneak into the flex range if they find a viable quarterback and this offense is good? I mean, maybe, but that's like almost like best case. Like, I feel like
Yep.
I don't feel like he's got a ton of upside. I don't know if that's just me just hating on him, or like, I don't know how you feel about him.
No, like I said, listen, if he was in a more prolific offense, I'd feel a little bit better just in terms of boom or bust potential, but there's not a ton of upside, right? He's going to get maybe 2 opportunities, 3 at the most per game. Saquon Barkley's there. Darren Waller has kind of started to pick up the pace a little bit. You still have guys like Darius Slayton out there. Wandale Robinson. So he's low in that pecking order. And if you're only going to give me 2 to 3 opportunities a game, it's going to be very hard to kind of bank on that for any sort of steady production. So, like I said, not a factor, maybe on the radar.
Yeah, I'm out on I'm out on Hyatt. Will, what's up, Will? Should I pick up Foreman or Roshan? Both on the wire. PR.
I mean, if you're talking redraft, it's got to be Deonta Foreman, right?
I think so at the moment. I mean, I don't even think Roshan cleared protocol again. He's missed 2 weeks already, so
That's not
a
a good time. 2
little
weeks,
worrisome. It's not a
very.
great time. I mean, we've seen that happen before. I mean, especially nowadays with them trying to be, extra careful and shit. But yeah, give me Foreman for now. I think he's going to be probably the first and second down guy and the goal line guy, and Roshan will be, maybe the third down and pass catching back. So PPR that could be, valuable, obviously, but give me give me Foreman. Give me Foreman. Yeah, redraft. Yeah, appreciate you, Will, for sure. And then that brings us to our last point of the night, basically, for Dynasty especially, but this goes for redraft too, right? Backup running backs, having backup running backs. I mean, Crispy brought it up earlier, having depth, on the bench, and you're never going to know which guys there are, but it's a matter of how many can you roster on your team. How is your roster construction, right? How did you construct your roster? Do you have a bunch of roster clogger wide receivers on your bench, or do you have a bunch of backup running backs, even guys that might not even be the second or third option on the team? You might have a guy on the practice squad
Mm-hmm.
just hanging like a Chris Rodriguez, who now seems like the second guy in Washington. He had one carry less than Brian Robinson last game, out touched Gibby. And he was a taxi squad guy, a guy that was going like undrafted in your rookie drafts, a guy you could have picked up off of waivers. And now that these guys are getting work, like a Donta Foreman, he was inactive, right? I mean, now all of a sudden he's the guy. And what you can get for these guys, when you can get a third round pick, somebody might be stupid enough to give you a second round pick, but the Jerome Fords,
Yep.
I was able to get
Just
a
about to
second
bring
for in
that
the
up.
league. It was hard to, but depending on the league, you get a second, a third round pick. And then what can we do with these picks after we get them? That's how important it is to have these guys. Number one, you could use them for your team, right? Especially if you're going on zero RB strategy, or if you've got injuries and bye weeks. Now you've got guys that can fill in. We talk about how just injured running backs get all the time. And like, I'm on a rebuilding squad. I've got just a ton of backup running backs. And now every time these guys get a chance to play, I just ship them off for a fourth round
Mm-hmm.
pick, a third round pick, a player. I got a Mooney the other day. So I just, what you can do with those things and get those picks. And now what does that pick turn into? Maybe that turns into a fucking Puka Nakua, right? Or maybe you're a competing team and you can turn that pick into an Adam Thielen before he kind of went ham, right? So you just have a ton of options when you have some of these backup running backs on your bench, because most of them are going to get weeks to play. It's just a week here, a week there, maybe 2 weeks here. It's just game by game that it is. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about backup running backs. That's how I felt this morning.
Also,
And
too, guys like
yeah,
also too, guys, these rookie running backs, right? Like an Achan, right? Like a Keontae Ingram, like a who's the guy on the Saints? His name is slipping my mind as we speak. The guy on the rookie running back on the Saints,
Kendra.
Kendre Miller, right? Guys like that these guys can still live on your taxi squad. I mean, Achan obviously, kind of got removed off your taxi squad if you had him. So even guys like that, when you're going through your rookie drafts, right, picking up these running backs that are on a team, they're drafted in the third, fourth, fifth round. You want to stash them on your taxi squad. That doesn't cost you a waiver spot. and you'll have those guys, and you can bring them up, you can trade them, and those guys have even more value because they're rookie running backs, right? That come on, make a splash, and so their value is even higher when they come up and make a splash, or they win the job, or whatever the case may be. So that's definitely another factor to look at, especially when you're doing your startups and your rookie drafts, is taking those running backs in the third or fourth round. That may be a little bit further down, like a Ingram, like a Kendre Miller.
Yeah, sure. Barat, what's up, man? Would you offer a 24 second round pick for Mingo in the Superflex League?
I don't think Adam Thielen's going to be dominating for doing what he's doing for that much more of a consistent basis.
He was a second round. He was a second round pick as well, right? Don't forget, he was a top 40 pick, and like you said, Adam Thielen's not going to be around forever. But they've also come out and said recently that they do want to get a number one wide receiver. I don't know if you heard that, but they said they did want to go out and get an actual number one wide receiver.
So what's funny about that is when I heard that, I'm like, bro, you just traded DJ Moore.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a little puzzling. Obviously, they wanted the quarterback, which they obviously valued more than a DJ Moore. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see Mingo as that. Now he could turn into that with young Bryce. Obviously, him and Bryce Young kind of coming out of the same draft class. So maybe they have an opportunity to really work together. Adam Thielen, as we said, isn't getting younger. It's risky. I don't think I'm doing it. I think if I'm trading second round picks, especially in a super flex, I want something that at least I'd rather have Jaden Reed than Jonathan Mingo if I'm trading a second round pick, to be honest with you. Just because I think Jaden Reed has a higher upside than Mingo. I think he's more involved than Mingo. I think he's on a better team than Mingo. And that's not even just being a Packer fan. Like, I'd rather have, Tank Dell than Mingo at this point. I'd trade a second for Tank Dell instead of Mingo, guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with getting Mingo, but I think it's more of like the context and why you would do it. If I've got a few second round picks, okay, I'll take a chance on Mingo. If it's just my only second round pick, if it's going to be a late second round pick, okay, I'll take the chance on Mingo, right? But if it's going to be early to mid, I'm probably just going to hold it. If I'm rebuilding, if I'm contending, and obviously it would be a late second round pick, then let me go out and get a young wide receiver that I don't need to produce right now, that I can just take a chance on with the second round pick that I kind of like on this offense with Bryce Young. And, I could talk myself into, buying a wide receiver just low like that, where I don't need him right now. I have a winning team. It's a late pick. Sure. Let me take the chance. Let me take the chance on Mingo. But if I'm rebuilding, I'm not taking this chance unless I've got like a few second round picks I can play with,
Yeah, that makes sense. That Carolina offense just makes me a little bit nervous. Now, you got to imagine after a season they'll get better. Like I said, Mingo does have a second round does have second round value on him from an NFL perspective. So I'm sure he'll be around for a decent opportunity to get a chance, to gel with Bryce Young. But I don't know. There's some other guys that I'd rather buy that I think have better situations and higher upside than Mingo at this point. Like I said, a Jaden Reed, a Tank Dell, some guys like that.
Yeah.
Josh Downs, you could throw in there.
Yeah. But what you said, they're talking about changing the play caller in Carolina. Wonder is coming off the bye. They spread the ball around more instead of hyper concentrating targets to white boy Adam. Listen, I've got Adam in a contending team, in a league on a contending team. So no, it's fine. Just keep hyper concentrating. Thielen, he could take it. He'll be fine. How about Sutton for a second? No, I'm not. I'll take the second. Don't pay for Sutton. I'm not paying a second for Sutton. You paying a second for Sutton?
Probably not. Sutton's much older. I think Sutton's 28 now, 28, 29.
Can you buy Jacoby with the second? Add something to the second and buy Jacoby. That's a guy you want to spend a second on, not a Sutton.
Sutton's been productive, man.
No, he has been. Don't get me wrong, but do you really want to spend a second on him though? For
No, I would.
this 1 year of basically production, like I don't trust him going forward. I
No,
don't even
I
trust him
don't.
now.
I don't know. I have a little bit more faith in Sutton this season based on what I've
Maybe.
seen. Sample size so far, he's been good. Russell Wilson hasn't
I'm
been
not.
terrible.
I'm not arguing that. I'm with you on that. My argument is only paying a second for him.
Right,
That's my
right.
thing, is paying a second for him. Because Jacoby is kind of in the second range. He's not necessarily a first, but can I get a second plus to go get a Jacoby instead of a Sutton?
Yeah, like I said, if I'm trading a second now, it seems like you're looking for something to kind of get you over the top. If you're trading a 24 second for Sutton, it looks like you kind of want a veteran receiver. So you probably are a good team based on this information. So yeah, if you're looking to go for it, and this is what I would imagine be a back end second, right?
Still not. Can I get Mike Evans
Oh,
from a team that's not, like, you know what I mean? Like I can't spend the second on him. Like if I'll spend a third. Like you want to spend a third because you need some production. Like okay, I just think the second is too much for me. You know?
no, I get it, and I think we were really upset with Sutton just based on, we expected him to kind of be the guy. I know he had some injuries and stuff over the last couple of seasons, and then he's kind of faded on us, but he's played very well this season.
Can I spend a third on Kendrick Bourne instead? I mean, we're talking about the same kind of tier, guys. Sutton is just the name. You're just, I mean,
Sutton's giving you the touchdown production though.
where's Sutton's bitch ass at? Here we go. Sutton 13.7, Kendrick Bourne 12.8. It's a 1 point. It's a 1 point difference. Give me Kendrick Bourne for cheaper. Thank you. You know what I mean?
It's hard to argue with
Especially
that.
in Dynasty, guys. Like just pay, like, be very like selective in what you do. Like really kind of, think behind it. And take advantage, especially of the teams that are not in contention, and buying those players. It's going to start to get a lot harder now, also because a lot of teams now are either, if they know they're not going to make it, it's a race to the bottom, right? Everybody's trying now to sell off their players. So, if you don't get to them in time, somebody else is buying them, and you might have to take, you might have to pay up. The minute that you don't pay up, it's like, have you ever like this happened to me the other day? I was negotiating with somebody, and we were going back and forth for a little bit, and I was trying to make it right. And then 5 minutes later, boom, this fucking guy makes a trade with somebody else and trades away the player that we were fucking negotiating with. And I was like, fuck, I should have just fucking took what he fucking threw there, and instead of trying to get that little bit extra out of it.
Yeah, that's happened to me on a couple of occasions, and it's definitely disappointing, but I don't know. I feel like you should stick to your guns. You know what I mean? And
sure.
and do what you do. I think consistency is the best key, especially in Dynasty.
Catch, what up, Catch fam? Just want to say Purdy's still worth 3 first-round picks.
No. If that's the case, Mahomes is worth your whole team, if we're going to put it into his proper perspective.
I think I just did a video on like just answering some Dynasty questions I just put out a couple days ago, and it was like, what is Purdy worth? And he's probably worth a first plus, like a late first plus. If you want to give up, like if a first and a second is almost too much, I almost want to look elsewhere if I got to pay a first and a second. So he's kind of like in the first plus conversation, first maybe second-ish, but that's kind of where I think he's at. But he's the top, what, 15-ish? He's got to be QB now in Dynasty. I mean,
he's in that 15 range.
Got to give him his flowers a little bit. But when he's getting tested like the Vikings did, he's folding under pressure, baby.
Here we go. Here we go. It's the Vikings testing him. Here we go. I think the sample size. I think we all have recency bias, and I'm
But
fucking
no,
I'm
but
done with the Vikings
no. But to be fair, I think they even said it. There was the first time that San Fran didn't score first or something like that.
in the
And
first quarter,
they were behind. Like they're not
the whole
used to
game.
playing from behind like that. So that was like that's the difference of him being comfortable and playing in front and being, conservative. And now where, he made some bad decisions towards the end of the game. So
And to be fair too, that defense got carved up pretty good by Kirk Cousins and company with no Justin Jefferson. So listen, I still think you're right. Purdy is in that 15 range. He's a super flex guy. He's in the high end super flex. So I think they have a lot of faith in him. He's had a really good record. Basically, he's played essentially a full season. So I think they still have good faith in him, and I think he's got all the weapons that he's kind of need that mix. I know Debo. There was also another stat out there when Debo doesn't play, how Purdy's numbers look considerably different. I don't know the exact sample size of that, but that's another factor. But you got to imagine Debo will be back in a couple of weeks, and they still have Kittle, they still have Ayuk, they still have CMC, they still have Jawan Jennings is a decent guy out there who knows the offense. They still got the weapons. I think Purdy will be fine. He'll be steady.
can he take them over the top when they're losing in the championship game?
That remains to be seen.
You know,
That's TBD.
Look, Jimmy G was awesome with the Niners.
He made
Fucking
it to a
Alex
Super
Smith
Bowl.
was fucking good with the Niners. Like, yeah, they those guys weren't really that good,
No,
especially outside of the 49ers.
no, and Jimmy G went to a Super Bowl with the 49ers, right? And they probably could have won that game, that first Mahomes Super Bowl. They could have won that game if Jimmy G didn't miss the throw to Debo, I believe. Or no, it was Manuel Sanders at that
Yeah,
time.
I think that's the biggest thing for me is like, can Purdy take them over the top, or is this like, or is he just Jimmy G? Like, is that what we're looking at? You know what I mean? That's like my biggest thing. I think he'll be fine. He's on the Niners. I mean, he's going to be a fine quarterback, just like Jimmy G and Alex Smith was, and all.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's going to be absolutely fine. But can he take him over the top? I think for 49er fans, especially, like that's like the biggest question. But yeah,
For sure.
appreciate you, Catch. Almost a 500. Yeah, we're getting there. We're trying to get there. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, y'all. So any last questions y'all got in the chat before we get out of here? But you got anything else? Anything else, Hammer?
Nah, man, we got a hell of a Thursday game coming up. I'm playing in our home league. I'm playing a guy who has like 5 Buffalo Bills on his team.
Oh, I played that team. I wound up beating them, but yeah, he's got the whole Bill squad. Like what the?
So I'm going up against him this week. I do get Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow back, which is really good. I hope Eckler and Devontae are better. Christian Watson is pissing me the fuck off at this point. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not looking forward to that.
Told everybody to get off Christian Watson while they could.
Well, the reason why, obviously, listen, I'm a
It's just
Packers
tough
fan.
now.
I
It's
didn't
just
let
tough
that.
now. But that's that dynasty, the pockets, right? The different times that the values change. Because now once we're in season, like we talked about earlier, everything changes now. Now it's all about production, and people love production. And if you're not producing, you're a bust. Apparently, to a lot of people. So you
Yeah,
got to
I'm
take
just
advantage
looking
of the
that
values.
that upside just hasn't been there so far. Now we'll see what happens. More concerning, not even the production, just the injuries are just really
Yeah,
concerning.
yeah.
Missed the first month, and now he played
Keeping
two
them
or
off the
three
field.
games, and now he's not even. He may not play this week. So
Yeah. What is it now? Is it the same injury or is it something else?
no, it's his knee now. Apparently, he
Now
picked
it's
it
his
up
knee.
in the game. It was the hamstring early, so we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
As I said, put DJ in that system. Same. Now I don't even know. DJ is. Woo. Yeah, I think most quarterbacks in that system. It's just a they design it nicely, and some Purdy got his shot, and he fucking did his thing, and they believe in him. So now he's the dude. I mean, that's it. It's the facts now. We gotta face it. We gotta face it. I was wrong on Trey Lance for now.
Will Dak Prescott be the quarterback? We shall see.
I don't know. That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother. But to be fair, everybody who I told to get Lance, he was at a value like in the draft. Like you weren't picking him up early. Like you were getting him late. It's not like you were spending top draft picks on Trey Lance. Like you were getting them on the cheap, in super flex leagues and startups. So it wasn't a crazy horrible miss. Like it didn't kill you as far as like your roster construction,
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're about to get up out of here. I'll give y'all another minute to throw any last questions y'all got, and then about to head up out of here. Appreciate everybody out there in the chat. Smash the like for us, of course. Smash that subscribe if you're new and you want to join the crew. Marty, all right, Marty, peace out, brother. Aiden, do I trade away Gibbs for a mid-24 first? Currently have 7.
So he's in a 10-man league. I think he's currently in the 7th slot to pick.
So you're in 7th place, and then you're going to trade away Gibbs, and you're going to get another mid-first. Is it super flex, Aiden?
I think he currently has the 107.
Let me know, Aiden.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's worth it. If you're already at 7, so would you end up with the 105 maybe?
He said it is super flex, and he's got 7 first-round picks. I mean, if you've got 7 first-round picks, let me just hold Gibbs. I mean, he is a young guy. I'd probably just hold him. I don't think you need another.
7?
I don't think you need another first. Like you're going to be able to get the quarterbacks that you need.
Right.
You're going to be able to get Marvin Harrison if you want, even if you have to trade multiple of those picks to move up and get him. So, I think you're fine. I'd rather just keep Gibbs because at some point you're going to have to buy some players. I mean, you're going to be able to get the guys that you need, and then at the others, you're going to be, trading away those picks and hopefully getting players that you need, and you can basically start contending next year. It could be a quick little retool. I mean, you have enough draft capital to just turn the whole shit around, almost in 1 year, depending on who else is on your team, or at least 2 years. So I think you'd be fine, man.
That's crazy. He's basically got the whole first round.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can do whatever you want. You own it. So you set the value of those picks, basically.
For sure.
So I mean, you're in control. You're going to get whoever you want. So if you need 2 quarterbacks, if you need Marvin Harrison, and you want 2 wide receivers, or whoever that second wide receiver is, Neighbors or whoever else that comes out, and you can do that. So.
And those picks are going to have extreme value as we get closer to the draft. So even if you wanted to go out and solidify,
what quarterbacks do you have now? I mean, it's a 10-team league. I mean, can you go buy Justin Jefferson right now? I mean, you have enough draft capital to pretty much move however you want to. How many starters is it? Like, is it shallow? Like,
that's definitely.
You got plenty of options. Snowman, what up? What's good?
Man, that icon is epic. The Chappelle with the crack on his face.
White shooter, what's up, brother? I'm late to the show. What is the most you would recommend buying JSN?
Well, we talked about his value, and it's really interesting. It really depends on what the selling team values him at, because you could, as you said, there's people that run out of patience really quick, especially when the season starts, that probably took him at the 101, the 102, the 103, somewhere in that range, depending on the structure of your league, and you can probably get him for a back end first, plus a little something on top to sweeten the deal. Maybe another wide receiver.
I would say, like, what team has him, and what's the situation of that team? Are they in win now mode? Are they rebuilding? I mean, if they're rebuilding, they're probably not going to give away JSN for anything cheap, right? If they're contending, they're more likely to give away JSN for something cheaper. So depending on what's the situation of that team in your league, and also what's your situation. Are you in rebuild mode? Are you contending right now? Like, do you have enough assets? Like, you don't want to spend too much, but there's a lot of factors that go into it. So give me a little bit more insight, White Shooter, on the context of your team and your situation. Aiden said he's got Bryce, Kyler, Zach Wilson. It's start 10. Okay. Receivers are Higgins, Kirk, Flowers, Pickens, and Pitts. Went full on rebuild from the start. Got 7 first and 3 seconds. So you still have all of these players, and you have 7 first and 3 seconds. You have Bryce, Kyler, and Pickett. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be probably. I mean, you could draft the top 2 QBs and then the top 2 wide receivers if you want, or I don't know if I guess people aren't really valuing the picks in your league if you got 7 of them. So I don't know if you can use those picks to buy players. Like, can you use Higgins in a first or Higgins in 2 firsts to go try and buy JJ or something like that? You know what I mean? Can we
Yep.
trade, Pickens in a first and tier up, Kirk in a first and tier up? You know what I mean? Flowers in a first and tier up. Can we get some of the top wide receivers somehow? Or can we tier up at QB? Can we tier up at tight end? Can you go buy depending if you want pitch or not, can you go buy like Laporta? With the assets that you have. I'm gonna guess not because everybody gave away all their picks to you. So that's
Right,
what I'm
right.
that's what I'm probably guessing here. So you're probably if you're stuck with these picks, that's gonna be the tough part because now they've kind of iced you out. If you can't get anything for any of those picks now, the value isn't as much. You're gonna get stuck drafting all those 7 guys in the first round.
But I think as the draft nears, like I said, those picks will become incredibly valuable. Where somebody's like, "Damn, man, I rolled the dice on this player. They didn't really pan out. Maybe you rolled the dice, like I said, on a Cooper Cup or something like that. He's getting a little bit older, etc. And you want to kind of move up. Then you're going to have more leverage the closer the draft gets. So I wouldn't kind of panic and make any moves just yet, especially with all that draft capital. Um, as the draft gets closer, like I said, the end of the season, then those picks will definitely increase in value. And listen, if you have to go out and draft Caleb and Marvin Harrison, then do it.
Yeah. So I mean, you got a lot of options. So it just kind of depends on your league and the trade market. So
Mm-hmm.
determine what you want to do. You're not in a rush. So yeah, if you can go after a JJ, I'd give up that whole squad. Higgins, Kirk, Flowers, Pickens, 2 firsts. I give it all up just to get a JJ. I mean, it's a 10 team start 10. Yeah. And then you'd still have 5 firsts if you went and got JJ and got
Mm-hmm.
rid of your whole team.
Yep.
And yeah, you got quarterbacks to move as well if you just wind up drafting, 2 of the quarterbacks in the draft. Now you have all these
Dude,
other guys you can trade as well. So you got so many
bro,
options. It just depends on your league, man.
I'm telling you, Aiden, we see this all the time in our home dynasty league. People trade away their picks as soon as the season starts. People are trading away their picks as soon as the draft rolls around, like that March. That as soon as the Super Bowl ends, basically, those picks go way up in value because then we're starting to get into the combine. We're starting to get into all the draft nonsense, basically between February and April. And those picks will be valuable. Trust me, they will be valuable. And then you'll have all the leverage to kind of pick and choose what you want to do. Like you said, you basically control the first round. So those picks will increase in value. My biggest advice here, stay patient with it. Don't make any rash decisions. And then as soon as the Super Bowl's over, then you can kind of go out and start fishing a little bit.
Mhm. You're not winning at all right now? Like you are actually tanking, I'm guessing, Aiden? He said, "Yep, Javante and Gibbs right now." Okay. Yeah, I'd probably just keep Gibbs. I don't think I want to give him away. I'd probably just hold on to him. Javante can go if you can get a. I mean, I'll take it first for him, but you might as well hold on to him too. I mean, it's fine to hold on to him too, because you could turn this around quick with the capital and the guys that
Yes,
you
you
have.
can.
So, I might just hold on to those guys actually right now.
I would agree, and I think
Because if you
there is
got 7
some.
first, so it doesn't necessarily matter, right? Because normally I would say just fucking get rid of the running backs. You got to tank and make your pick the best it can be, right? If we're gonna be tanking, but if you got 7 of the picks like that, that doesn't necessarily matter. So maybe you just hold on to Javante and Gibbs. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of in that lane. I would definitely shop Javante though, and I talk about this all the time. Put him on the trading block. See if some crazy team that's contending comes calling, because in a 10-man team, they're probably not as scarce, but running backs are scarce, man. At least solid running backs anyway that you can kind of
Mm.
depend on for 15 touches a game, especially with all the injuries and everything that's going on at the running back position. So I would at least shop him around and see what you could get. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to make a deal. Gibbs, I'm definitely keeping for this particular team because I do think Gibbs is going to have some really good value, especially at the start of next season. But put Javante on the trading block, see what you could get.
I'm okay with shopping him for sure, or combining him with a wide receiver and trying to tier up. Like I said, bro, try and go get JJ. Like I'd throw literally everything I can to get JJ. You have so much draft capital and some good wide receivers still
Higgins,
and
Kirk,
running backs
productive guys, yeah.
to go and get JJ right now, who's sitting on somebody's bench who may or may
IR
not be in
spot, yeah.
contention. I hope they're in contention because that might be easier to try and get him from them. You can literally give him whatever anything. He said he doesn't have his first. Hold on. He said, "Def giving y'all a sub. Appreciate you, Aiden.
Hell yeah,
Appreciate you.
man.
We're almost at 500. So appreciate everybody out there. Where we at now? Yeah, Aiden got it. We're at 499. We're one sub away. So if
499.
you're on the 420 Hustler Network, hop over to our channel, Dynasty Life Fantasy Football. Just throw
That'd
us
be
a
awesome.
sub. Get us to the
That's the magic
500.
number.
So that'd be awesome. But Aiden said he's 2 and 5. He doesn't have his own 24 first. So you don't have your own 24 first, but you have the capital to go get it
Yeah.
if you want to, but you don't necessarily have to, right? I mean,
And
you have
also too,
7. You have
oh
7 of them. So I mean, and your team is not that bad. I'm gonna guess you might win another game or two. It could be a mid-ish, right? I mean, I don't know.
yeah, I think with 7 out of the 10, dude, you're still in control regardless. Um, and like you said, you can always buy up if you really needed to at that particular time.
I mean, I'd start buying guys right now. I mean, like I said, you can tier up from these guys, but if you have to wait to spend those first, if guys are like, if everybody's trying to win right now, I mean, it's 10-team league, right? So there's 6 teams that get in the playoffs. So people are still kind of fighting right now and
Hmm.
not probably willing to give up their guys. So winner the losers back against the 101. So yeah, you have a good team. So okay, that's cool. All right. Yeah. So yeah, just do your thing and let us know what happens. But you've got plenty of opportunities to do things. All right, White Shooter got back to me here. He said he's a contender. He's got a ton of pieces and depth. Jefferson, Diggs, Puka, Pittman, Amari, Hollywood, Nico, Michael Thomas. Team with JSN's also a contender. He's also got Brees, Saquon, Mixon, Kyron, Andrews at tight end, Allen and Wilson at QB. Draft capital is an early mid 24 second, 224 force, and then the standard 25 picks. So he doesn't have any first. He's got a early mid 24 second. He's contending. So what can he do to go and get JSN?
Wish I could see the team like on our dash to kind of
All
break
right,
it down. I know you.
Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Puka, Pittman, Amari, Hollywood, Nico. So he's got a few. He's got a few good pieces.
Yeah, you
Trade
got.
just Can you trade Nico almost straight up for JSN or Nico in a second? Like I'm okay with that.
Because also too on your team, you don't need JSN to come in and dominate, and that's kind of the situation you want to be in, right?
Yeah, I mean, he is contending, but he's still got Diggs. He's got Puka. He's got Pittman, Amari. Probably gonna have to give up Nico, maybe Hollywood. Nico and Hollywood, Amari and Hollywood. I mean, the guy's gonna want points, so you know, you're gonna have to give him some kind of points. It could cost you. It could cost you a Diggs if he wants to tax you on it. Would you give up Diggs?
Start the conversation though, right? Open up the conversation and start it off with a Pittman, a Cooper, maybe not Pittman, but maybe even a Pittman. Pittman in a second.
You give up Pittman in a second. JSN, yeah, I'm okay with that. Like I'm fine with throwing a second on any of those wide receivers. I don't know how valuable that JSN owner kind of values him, so you're gonna have to feel him out. So
yeah,
I feel comfortable enough with my wide receiver depth to use maybe like a Hollywood or Nico type. Yeah, exactly. You got the right idea, bro. That's exactly what we're saying here. Yeah,
really good depth.
He wants a JSN share badly, so that's what I'd be looking at, man. The worst. Yeah, I feel you, Aiden. That's fine. Yeah, I get it. Unless you think you could win that losers bracket, but that's fine. All right, guys, we're about to get up out of here. We appreciate y'all. Hammer, you got any last words? Appreciate everybody for coming out again. We got to 500, so we got to 500.
That's an awesome
We got to 500. So yeah, appreciate y'all. We are in there now. But yeah. You got any last words, Hammer, before we
no, man.
the outro get out of here?
I need to pick up the pace and get some of these middling teams back into contention, especially in our 2 dynasty leagues. Like 3 and 4 in our home league, 2 and 5 in the subscriber league. I gotta fucking get some dubs here.
Well, I've got a shit ton of points against me in our home dynasty league. I'm putting up a ton of points though.
It's just been a disappointment every week. My wife walks in the door. She's like, "Babe, what's the matter?" I'm like, "I'm fine." Every Sunday, I'm just aggravated.
Oh God.
That's all I got.
All right, y'all. We out of here. Appreciate y'all. We're on the road to 1K now. See y'all. We'll see y'all next week with some more dynasty shit. Let us know if you like the layout. I kind of bit off the little PTI shit.
I love this.
Kind of try to make it a little cool layout. So let us know what you guys think about that as well. Just drop it in the comments. But
yes, sir.
Yeah.
You ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother. Show me the money.
Oh, you didn't know?
Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling.
You put my shoes on, you wouldn't last a mile.
Summertime, wintertime, I'm on the grind. Yeah, I got the ring, I'm the champ, I'm the genie of the lamp.
This is the gift I was given, so I just live by my hustle.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah, I keep me put in my pocket. It don't make sense, but don't make a profit. So the hustlers, ladies and homies, make money, money.
It's hard out here for a pill. Really tryna get this money for the real.
I want to find a thing to save my life, so I hustle.
It ain't over for me, no, it ain't over.